Alright, test, test. Hey, my mouth is moving. Sound is coming out. Hey, hi, hello. Good evening. Hope your week has been good so far. As for me, well, it was already off to a good start since I had Monday off, just personally. So far, this work week for me has just been 2 days. So, been nice and laid back too. I guess since we're also having like a big holiday weekend next week. Didn't want to start anything major, so I guess we're just like coasting along at work for now. Sound is all good on this end. That's good to hear. Also, hello, Molecular Shadow Fox. It's good to see ya. Hope your evening has been well for you. But yeah, we are back here. You might recognize this. This is a Forza Motorsport. Good to be here. It's good to hear. But yeah, guess I don't have much to say. Yeah, we're just gonna get right here and just continue this Builders Cup stuff, right? Builders Cup Tour. Yeah, go to career. Just pick up right where we left off. Yeah, we're the Enthusiast Tour. We're gonna do the Mazda challenge, MX-5. We're just getting into it. What sorts of spiel will we get for this?
Few convertible sports cars have ever delivered as perfect a combination of fun, reliability, and value as Mazda's modern classic, the MX-5 Miata. Its fan base has steadily grown around the world, making it the best-selling, most raced two-seat convertible of all time.
Pretty sure this is like the brand that you see a lot in like the mountain drift type of racing series, like Initial D, right? Or like the MX-7, I think was. I remember my friends, they were like big into Initial D in high school, and they would always talk about. They would always just use the brands, right? They would never say like the manufacturer. So I get to hear things like MX-7 and things like that, and it was fun. It was funny. Oh wow, they're extremely affordable too. 27,000, 16,000. I'll easily make this money back and then some. So yeah, let's just get the more recent one. Right, it usually has. I mean, it makes no difference in this game, but imagine in real life just getting the later one. Just it means more features and stuff, means more up to date stuff, right? That first gen MX-5 was such a good platform for tuning for whatever you want. Also known as the hairdresser's car. Yeah. Oh wait, we do have 200 CPs, 300 CPs, so maybe we'll be able to bolt something on here. I don't know. Number go up. It's probably a good thing. Hmm. Alright, we're gonna continue to Lime Rock Park. Oh. This, okay, it's like a very straightforward track. Oh, man. Sure, we got like a technical session here and there, but a lot of straightaways and gentle curves. Never driven one myself. Yeah, neither have I. I don't think I've ever owned a Mazda throughout my life. Yeah. I mean, I did, my family did own some, cars from Japanese manufacturers, but they were like Nissan and Honda and Subaru. Oh man, is that like daybreak or the sun's about to set? I can't really tell. Fortunately, I don't know which direction that sun is in, so I can't say.
Lime Rock's bus stop on the back straight is a short bus
Is that what they call it? A bus stop?
You'll need to find your rhythm turning through 4 quick directional changes.
A rhythm, huh? They've lost the ability to make cars now over here at least. Their lineup is all SUVs and crossovers. Oh man. Is that the path they took? Ah. Yeah. I guess that's what they want to do, but yeah. I prefer like smaller cars. I don't know. I guess because most of my occupations usually have me going through like cities and stuff, so having a small car helps, right? You don't want to be like driving something like a Hummer through a city, you know, where the roads are probably going to be narrow and streets are obviously going to be packed, and your gas mileage is probably going to be like completely shot because you know they already have terrible mileage to begin with, but they just get worse when you gotta be like stop and go in a city. Can have a lot of fun with something small and underpowered. Exactly, yeah. A lot more places you can fit in, too. Alright, you need to like go shopping, you need to park somewhere. A lot more spaces for you to park. Right, you could squeeze in more spaces. I pray for your wallet if you had a Hummer with the miles per gallon and stuff. Yeah. Even back when they were like super in vogue, I remember thinking, yeah, these things are like massive gas hogs. That's sure, you get like a gigantic ego boost, but you're gonna be paying for it in multiple ways, right? First is like the buy-in cost, and then all that price you'll pay for the fuel. Honestly, I bet it's like rising gas prices that was like a large contributor to why you know, you don't see those gigantic gas guzzlers as much anymore. If only from a pure pragmatic standpoint. It's like, yeah, why not get something that has like 7 to 8 times the miles per gallon? That's like an extreme factor of savings there, even if you don't travel a whole lot. 4 miles per gallon is just unacceptable. Yeah. Like, man, I don't know what else to say. It's like, what is the thought process of the kind of person who would buy a vehicle like that? I mean, I know what it is, but it's still even if I kind of know the general idea, man, it's still fascinating, that sort of thought process again. Just, man, how does it come to, I'm gonna buy this giant ass car for kicks? Nothing else again to try to improve an ego that maybe doesn't quite deserve it. It's a Tonka truck for adults. The sort you see at the gym, all beefed up and covered in tats. Well, I can see. I guess we were talking about truck nuts that other week too. Probably the type of person who would probably just like stick that on their vehicle as well. And all sorts of raunchy bumper stickers and stuff as well. The one who would unironically have something like, "My dog is smarter than your honor student," or something like that. But yeah. These days, if I like, the other factor in getting a car, aside from like size, would have to be like whatever, like the style of it too, right? Like at least a hybrid. You know, something that can use partially electric power along with gas power to just, you know, further save on monetary costs and stuff like that. And the Monster Energy logo on the side. Yeah. All the manliest of manly logos. Style and affordability and practicality. Yeah. You know, it's surprising what features I remember like being that sort of like extra add-ons just being like part and parcel for cars now. I think like one of my family members did get a car recently, and they were, you know, talking about it, and I was just asking, yeah, does it come with like a backup camera? And you know, they replied, yeah, that usually like is standard for cars these days. Just, yeah, every car is probably gonna have a backup camera. It also has like an overhead camera. I was like, wait, what? The cars have that now? Just like some sort of approximation of an overhead view. It's extremely useful and very cool, but man, boy, car tech sure has advanced since last I checked on it. But yeah, backup camera, just yeah. Thankfully, that's just a thing in cars now. Like, I remember when like Bluetooth connectivity was like a, you know, an optional feature, and just like being able to connect your phone to the car and just like have your music play from your phone was the hottest thing, and I remember being so excited about that, and that of course is just part and parcel now. I remember everyone losing their minds when GPS was an option. Holy crap. Like, I remember back when GPSs were not, and yeah, you had to get like a separate system that you could just you know, put on your car, and they would sell stuff for that too. Like, you could get like a weighted pad and a suction cup to make sure that GPS doesn't go flying everywhere. And you got like a special charger for it too that you could like hook into the one outlet on your car to make sure it keeps power. And oh, practice is done. Okay, we're moving on. Yeah, now GPS is just a thing that you have, and you know, even if the car doesn't have GPS, well, your phone has GPS, so you can just get like a phone stand and, I don't know, stick it on your air conditioning vent or something, and just use that. And the joy you could get when one of those CD change... Oh, and the joy when you could get one of those CD changers in the boot. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you could have, like, multiple CDs in your car and did not have to swap them out. Oh, yeah. Another thing I remember, just having a stack of CDs, right? The CD wallet with all the music that you like to listen to. Just to swap them out, in and out. Yeah, always fun to drive as a passenger because you would get to control the music. Oh yeah. Those CD wallets were such a godsend. Always had one in my glove box. Yeah, I think every single one of our cars when I was growing up had one of those CD wallets because we just listened to a lot of music. Boy. One of the rules of driving, at least when you're doing like the radio stuff, is that the driver usually picks the music, right? I feel like that's like kind of an unspoken rule, because, you know, they're driving and you want them to be as comfortable as possible, so, you know, they get their pick of music, at the very least. they have the most say over it. I only say that because I remember when I was driving and we would do the Bluetooth connectivity thing. The one time I was driving with my sister. I remember her just asking me, "Hey, would it be okay if we just like, if I got to pick the music?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, fine." Even though I was like driving and stuff. Maybe I should have tried to be more assertive then. I mean, it's like mostly because I was like one of the artists I like to listen to, and I still do, to be honest, is Weird Al, and I guess she's not that much of a Weird Al fan. I mean, I could have like, you know, not put up any Weird Al music. I had like a Weird Al music free playlist I could have put up. Then again, I think most of the other songs that I listen to, she would not be much of a fan of either. Like, I don't know, I'm like a rock. I like rock, alt, maybe some punk, a little bit of metal. I guess my sister is a bit more of a pop fan, which, you know, hey, I like pop tunes too, and people like what they like, but I don't know. I feel like the songs I listened to would not have been too out of place, right? Like, would it have been that unbearable? I don't think so. They started. Oh yeah, when they started putting controls on the steering wheel. Ah, man. I'd admit, I got too used to like the non-wheel controls, so even if they did do that, I would still be doing like the things like the turn signals and stuff with the old controls. It's like my car, my choice. Or at the very least, if I'm the driver, you know, I should have like the last say as to things that happen, right? Like, I don't know, if I could understand if the songs were like maybe too loud or too incomprehensible or just like really grates on the ears, but I don't know. I could have rearranged things, I think. All my friends were into dance and trance, so I had years of having to listen to that in cars. Oh my god. I had a friend who was like big into Eurobeat. Like, in high school, he would always be talking about Eurobeat albums and the latest ones to come out. And when I would like catch a ride with him to cons and stuff, he would usually have that playing if it wasn't the radio. I guess it all comes together pretty well, huh? Nothing finer than cranking up a game soundtrack in the car. Oh yeah. You know what's really fun? A couple songs I definitely got into because of hearing them in like Burnout and Need for Speed. So, you know, driving in the car and suddenly you hear like Paper Wings by Rise Against just come up, and you're like, oh yeah, now we're really getting into the mood. Of course, you know, since this is real life, I did not start going faster. That would be dumb. But, yeah. It just felt very, very fitting. What is your preferred game soundtrack for driving? Hard to not have a lead foot when a good tune comes on. Yeah, right. Especially when you get like a fast-paced, like a track with a high tempo. I guess that kind of just when you get like a high tempo thing, your body kind of starts trying to match it, and You have to. I had to. At least for me, I had to remind myself. No, no. I gotta try to keep pace. Don't go faster, cause that's when trouble begins. These are like pure gaming soundtracks. I think I had like Jet Set Radio in my playlist for a bit there. That was like pretty neat. Ooh. Let's see. What else? What else? Ratchet and Clank as well. Like, lyrical tunes are fun and all, but sometimes you just want, like, background music, right? Sometimes you just want something non-lyrical. Something to let... Right? Because sometimes lyrics just kind of distract you in a way, so... You just need, like, an underline... You just... Instrumentation, I've noticed, helps me... also distracts me less sometimes. You know, if there are cases where I need to, like, listen to someone else's voice, I'll usually try to just switch to... like non-lyrical tracks to keep myself less distracted. That's a hard one. So many games I love, retro ones for the nostalgia. Some Devil May Cry 2, Doom 2016. Just adore that version of Sephiroth theme from Advent Children. Ooh, all some good picks. You know, I could see like Doom 2016 soundtrack being very good for driving. It's like really gets you pumped up to drive. Get that blood flowing. Certainly the kind of music that would help you stay awake. You need to. Gotta have some Sonic in there too. Oh yeah, how could I forget that? Of course you need Sonic the Hedgehog on the road. Because you're driving. Like, nothing like a little city escape from the city. Or like, Crisis City, or Open Your Heart while you're driving down the road. Could really have some fun with that. The Burnout 2 soundtrack is perfect for a road trip. Ooh, yeah. Naturally. Especially if you have like like the variants pop up too, when you got like the boost version and the non-boosted version. That's one of the things I miss about old Burnout. It's like the original soundtrack. Like, having licensed tunes from 3 onwards was like fine and all, and you know, starting with Revenge, they started picking some good fitting ones, but you know, something be said about someone who manages to compose a good original tune for a video game. When Need for Speeds had original interactive soundtracks like on 2 and 3. Yeah, that's like part of it too, right? You can have a soundtrack that fits the mood of the situation. Something like, say, in Most Wanted, right? When you're hit up that pursuit, and you know, you can have that different kinds of melodies for whatever state the pursuit is in. So you can have it like going at full tilt when you're actively in a chase, and you can have that tense moment going on when you're hiding from the cops and waiting for them to lose you. Unfortunately, I think it's only like maybe Most Wanted that kind of had that sort of dynamic soundtrack after 2 and 3. I don't know if Carbon had that. Maybe they did. I had to admit, I didn't play Carbon, so... Hey, look at that. Race 1 done.
Good work today. P1.
P1. Position uno. Speaking of instrumental songs for trips, any retro synthwave gives you the feels. Oh, haha! Absolutely. There's a reason why, like, you get, like, lots of those retro-style racing games tend to have that sort of vaporwave aesthetic to it. Something about the 80s mood and the music. Like, I've seen a number of racing games that have that sort of kind of 80s Miami look, and gets you, yeah, again, it gets you right in the feels, right? I added the Horizon Chase soundtrack after. Ooh, yeah, that's another good one. I'd say, like most racing game soundtracks, probably good for driving. Red Out, yes. Oh, that was what was the other one I played? That was Hot Shot Racing. I think I actually bought that soundtrack after I played that game, because I enjoyed the music there. It's like that kind of tune that, and it's like, well, it was cheap, it was on sale, and I like the music. So hey, when you put those together, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Get some more music, right?
This is a relatively narrow track. Your best passing opportunity will probably be in the braking zone before the Andretti hairpin.
And the best thing is, like, you know, when Steam separated music from the game, so you didn't have to, like, buy the game anymore to buy the soundtracks, it's like, yes, that's the last thing they needed. So now you can just, like, freely get whatever you want. All right, if you like the Red Out soundtrack, maybe don't want to get Red Out just yet, you can just get the soundtrack and be on your way. Always a good time for me when the House Flipper OST comes on. It's just relaxing. A moment of calm in the eye of the storm of music. I would probably sort out my playlist like that, right? Just have like a playlist for intense tunes, a playlist for chill tunes, or I guess would that classify as like a lo-fi beat to chill to? The R-Type Final OST is a good one. Nice mix of EDM and rock. Ooh, maybe I'll take a listen to that. I don't remember if I have that game or not. Pretty sure it's like good though. I haven't heard anything bad about it. Yeah, EDM rock seems like a good combo of music to put together. A mashup, I guess they would call it. Can never go wrong with some 16-bit game music. Yeah, the retro tunes. Or heck, maybe they don't necessarily have to be truly retro. They could be like chiptune, and I'd probably be like super into it. So yeah, you know, like a actual classic tune, like say Chrono Trigger OST would be pretty neat, but certainly won't say no to something like say a Shovel Knight soundtrack either. They both have their place, right? It's nice to see like the limitations people had to work with back in the day, but seeing someone like, you know, work with those limitations and also spin them in a way that sounds like really cool and awesome it's a nice treat. What sorts of retro tunes? Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, what sorts of retro tunes would you recommend for a car trip? And yeah, Streets of Rage. Yep, that's a good one to add, right? All of them, every single one. Yuzo Koshiro is pretty darn good composer, right? It's like all the Streets of Rage tunes are very catchy, like 1 and 2 and 3 even. Right, and the tracks that he composed for 4 are also pretty cool. Like, was They're Back? the theme for stage 1, the first part of stage 1, even has hints of like the Streets of 2 first stage theme in there. Just gets you both ways. Call back to the original, and they managed to make something new and funky, fresh out of it. If I remember correctly, Koshiro also did the soundtrack for Etrian Odyssey, and that had... Wait, was it Etrian Odyssey? Maybe it was Seventh Dragon. Or maybe it was both. I don't remember, but all those themes, you know, again, masterfully done, and something I would not mind listening to a few times. In fact, I have. There are a couple music tracks from the Seventh Dragon soundtrack that I actually listened to more than a few times. Streets of Rage, Golden Axe 2, Sonic, Street Fighter Alpha Series. The sound of Streets of Rage soundtrack just feels like you're in a club in the 90s. Yeah. I think that's what like a lot of people said. Like the tracks are very dance-esque. Actually, a thing that like carried over into later tunes too. Like I remember, listening to one of the boss fight themes from Seventh Dragon. That's like an RPG series, and yet the boss theme still sounds like something you could probably dance to. It's very, very funky. I don't know how else to describe it. It's very, very catchy. Kind of makes you want to get out on the floor and just start moving some way or another. Soul Edge Supercon Sessions version of the soundtrack is just so good. Highly recommend. Ooh, I like the Soul series music also. Yeah. I'm a bit of a sucker for like epic sounding, sweeping pieces, so Soul series music hits that itch quite nicely. I actually think I got like the Soul Calibur 6. I got like one of the launch editions, I think it was, that actually came with like a soundtrack CD of like hit Soul Calibur series or Soul series tunes, I should say, because I think they had some Soul Edge tracks in there. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I always liked getting soundtrack samplers from games. It's like the kind of thing where I could just you know, get the music. Stick them in the music player and just have it on shuffle and then go about my day. Yeah, Battle Area, Toshiden, Twisted Metal, Sega Rally. So much music. You could fill an entire device with them probably, and then some. Always distressing was like getting to the point where, you know, you fill out whatever device you have on hand, and you start picking and choosing what music you want to have on there. So it's like, okay, so what would I prefer? What do I not mind leaving out for now? Felt like I got like so much music over the years. I kind of hit that point where it's like, yeah, okay. So what do I want to listen to this time around? Is there anything I want to rotate in and out? For Spoopy Month, the Resident Evil OST is a must. I can see that. Good old horror game soundtrack. As long as it's not that one basement theme. I remember that. It's like, I first heard it on like another video because they used that as like, the theme song for the intro. It was funny because I didn't realize what it was from. I just remember it sounding so awful that then someone told me, "Oh yeah, that's the theme someone composed for like the basement on the PlayStation version of Resident Evil." I'm like, really? Like, I know they had good music, and they had that one theme that was just like an absolute dud. Just wow. Library theme used to creep me out so bad. That's when you know the music is hitting right, yeah. Love the remixes they did for characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 overall had a bunch of fun remixes, but yeah. I remember listening to Nemesis, like, even if I didn't listen to the original theme, I could tell it was like very, very cool. That felt like they made an upbeat version of a theme that still sounded very sinister, which was pretty neat. I think Chris's theme worked pretty well too for what it was. It sounded like that good old heroic theme, which probably fits because he's like one of the major players of the series, right? Even after they had the big tonal shift to 7. Dr. Doom and Sentinel are my go-tos. Yeah, Dr. Doom was like one I listened to a lot. It was interesting. It was like sounded a lot more heroic than maybe as you would think from Dr. Doom. Yeah, the other characters had like nice updated tunes too that still evoked the originals. Like I remember, was it Captain America's theme? That one was pretty cool. How they made it sound even like more heroic, which fits because you know it's Captain America. He's like hero man. He's kind of like chief hero man, right? Very more tranced than the OG version from Marvel superheroes. Huh. Yeah, sometimes the shifts in style are interesting too. Like what? I think Jill's theme, I think people were saying were sounding a lot more dance-like than the original version. Shame they never redid Juggernaut's theme from X-Men Children of the Atom. And again, they never did bring Juggernaut back, right? One of the unfortunate things about the later games, I guess, some of the old roster got left behind. I remember when 3 first came out, you know, when the roster was like finalized, you know, you did have some people complaining about the lack of certain characters, like on the Marvel side. You know, people were wondering, where's Gambit, where's Cyclops, where's you know, Venom, right? Venom also. And then Marvel, the Capcom side had a couple too. The biggest one, obviously, being Mega Man. Any sort of Mega Man. But there was also Jean, and man, I cannot brain tonight. I don't. Then again, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 stuff is like a distant memory at this point, right? Like, goddamn, that was I think its first release was like over a decade ago. It's kind of funny because I remember that game like being somewhat embroiled in controversy, and maybe not without merit, especially because, you know, they had Ultimate come out not too long after Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which made people think, it's like, man, why they get 3 then if they're going to have this new version with these new characters and updated systems and HUD and new modes and all that. And, you know, people still played it because it was still like mechanically solid and just a lot of fun with a very diverse roster at the end of the day. But I think its status wouldn't be cemented until Infinite. It's just like, despite having a strong start, kind of face planted, right? It's like you saw that initial trailer, like, oh my god, Mega Man X, oh my god, Captain Marvel, and you're like, oh, this roster's gonna be so awesome. Right, and you saw like the systems too, the updated tag system, everything, but then, you know, you see more of it come out, right? Like the style, the art style of the game, and the finalized roster. And then the game came out with its somewhat more lackluster story, even if it did have a story. And did I mention the finalized roster? But yeah, I think that caused people to look upon 3 more fondly. Because, like, sure, that game had warts too, but you know what had gestures to everything else, right? At least it had, like, say, the Amaterasu and Deadpool and Beautiful Joe and, the heck, Shumagorath and even MODOK, right? It wasn't just, like, MCU the game. Not to mention, with the DLC, the Marvel and Capcom character counts were, like, imbalanced, right? What was it, like 4 Marvel characters, only 2 Capcom characters? It's a shame, though, because, yeah, Infinite, like, added a bunch of stuff that people would have made people excited, right? Like, the base roster added, like, more Darkstalkers characters. They had, again, Mega Man X, and then the DLC brought in Sigma and Monster Hunter. I forgot about Monster Hunter. That was, like, the one character they wanted for 3, and they brought him in for Infinite, and fortunately, well, it was an Infinite, right? This is why we have Mugen. Yeah. Good old Mugen. That, I remember losing a couple weeks when I was in college just gathering characters and creating what was my idealized version of a fighting game. It was like all the Street Fighters, all the SNKs, all the Melty Bloods, the French bred characters, all the Toho characters, and of course all the original characters too. So I put in Homer Simpson and Peter Griffin and Omega Tiger Woods, slightly pissed off Ryu, all that fun stuff. Even stuff like stupid little drill tank and break the targets. What was it? They had like that custom interface that was like everything versus everything, which absolutely fit because that's why you got Mugen, because you could do your everything versus everything dream. Always loved Homer and Mugen with his entrance. Out of my way, jerk ass. Yeah. It's kind of astounding how they managed to pluck out the voice clips and the move sets to make it work, right? Distinctly feels like the character, and they also felt like viable fighting game candidates. That was like the most fun part. We need another Capcom versus SNK. Oh, yeah. I do believe we talked about that, but yeah, Capcom versus SNK 3. One day, hopefully, maybe in this lifetime, we'll see it. Capcom versus SNK 3. That would be the thing that would make me excited, especially if they, you know, expand it beyond Street Fighter versus King of Fighters. Just pull from the entire universes. Both those companies have enough of a catalog that they could do that. Capcom is obvious. SNK probably also obvious. But yeah, I did see, you know, Capcom Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So beloved that people, there's like a fan project out. I remember that actually being an article. I like read that on the site. It's like, yeah, fans are keeping the dream alive. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 fan edition added a bunch of characters and they announced them, and yeah, they're like characters you would want to see in a fighting game. So I remember, I only remember 2 of them. They were like Gene and Nero, which, yeah, Gene, obviously, people have been clamoring for him for ages, and Nero's like, it makes sense, because he's like a co-protagonist in several of the games. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone modded in V at some point, because, you know, he's pretty cool, and I think his playstyle would be pretty unique. Maybe Capcom can show some love to their forgotten Red Earth, yeah. Maybe they could, beyond the costumes and cards and what have you. Like, Street Fighter V. I don't remember that being the trend for a while. A bunch of Capcom reference costumes, so you get like the Monster Hunter costumes and the Devil May Cry costumes and the other Capcom Stars costumes. So you get a couple of Red Earth outfits and Darkstalkers, of course, and Mega Man. Can't forget Mega Man. I think they had Resident Evil as well. Yeah, makes me a little surprised that Street Fighter 6 hasn't like been completely inundated with costume DLC just yet. Then again, I imagine like most of that is because they're doing like avatar outfits. Like I remember, was it 6 for a while had that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collaboration where you could get like TMNT related emotes and outfits and stuff, and it also had like other limited time outfits, clothing options in there too when I was playing it. And like the battle passes they do every month are also like mostly avatar items. They have some music tracks and like titles and stuff in there too, but yeah, it's mostly avatar stuff. I guess that's their route for monetization. If at some point, though, I expect they will have costumes, right? Because they had them in like 4 and 5. And they did show concept art for costumes too. So they did show like, you know, art for some third costume ideas for the characters, so expect at some point we'll get like a costume pack 1. If they haven't done so already. Like, it could be that they have it out. If they ever do a VTuber fighting game, you could so be in that. If only. I probably need like a bit more notoriety. I'm sure on the pecking order of people to include in a roster, I'm like probably not very close to the top. Although I imagine that would be the kind of fighting game where you would have a creative character for sure. And who knows, maybe if I do get there, I could have, like, my clothes items in there, if nothing else, right? I always kind of like that sort of compromise. So it's like, yeah, if you can't get the character in themselves, at least give them their iconic outfit items so you could just, like, pretend that they're in there. That's what I liked about Smash Brothers. Alternate outfit hit, Femboy Hooters t-shirt. Yeah, just a t-shirt. Have to be an oversized one, though. That'd be, like, what I'm most comfortable with. But yeah, something like, say, Smash Brothers. Like, that was... I kind of appreciated that sort of compromise where, like... Okay, sure, we know character slots are limited, but... we'll give you at least, like, Mii fighter items, so you can try to make a Mii that's perhaps has a moveset that's kind of like. So it's like, yeah, sorry, we couldn't put Lloyd from Tales of Symphonia in, but here's a Mii costume. You can at least have that. Or Gino, you could have Gino in there, kinda. Or Sans and Cuphead, sure, they might not be characters, but hey, you can get their Mii fighter outfits. Also, a special music track for both of those. I'd love to be in a furry fighting game. Haha! What kind of moveset would you have? What kind of moves? What sort of foxy moveset would you have? What kind of playstyle would you do? Would you be like rush down? Would you be the counter type? Would you be a glacier? Would you be like a? Would you be an evasive fella?
Racing at Eagle Rock. Always consider the traffic around you in the A-shaped Augie's Corner when you pick your point to rotate your car before accelerating out.
Augie's Corner, also known as the corner that prevents this from being a pure oval track. Counter in strength, cause Shadow can move through the shadows and use his music notes to attack too. Plus that huge floofy tail, yeah. Good old tail slap. But hey, a musical stealth-based character. That's pretty cool. I've seen like musical assassin types. That would be a pretty neat way to do things. You could have like a calling card of sorts, right? A little tune that plays before you go hit someone in the face from the shadows. Yeah, I can see that working out. It'd be pretty fun fighting style. Yeah, they just call it turn 2, turn 3, and turn 4. Okay. I thought it was like Augie's Corner or something like that. Maybe they just don't call it that here. Just no boss syndrome. Right, that old infamous thing. Fighting game bosses always being on level of unprecedented level of cheating compared to other games, where they will just perfect read your inputs or mind read your inputs and just have like frame perfect moves and blocks and dodges and counters and stuff like that. The ones where you gotta find the cheesiest strategies and just take them down that way. God, Rugal and Igniz, yeah. I have to admit, my biggest point of reference there would be like King of Fighters 15, but even there, they were kind of bullcrap. So I can only imagine how much worse they were in the older games. Zero was no pushover either. Yeah, the final boss at 15 was already grating, even if it was like one of the easier ones, apparently, according to people. Like having a full screen attack and one that could just like appear almost instantaneously. So it's like if you tried to hit him with a move, you just see like giant rocks just suddenly cover half the screen, and your character just gets hit like for massive damage. It was wild, man. I need to go back and like beat that arcade mode with more teams. Sounds like Final Bison in Street Fighter Alpha. Ooh, wow. Actually, a bit of a lower projection. Alright, we'll start at 21st then, because it's only like 150 credit difference. I can take that for a guaranteed first projection. Remember Onslaught? Oh boy, do I ever. Yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom on the PlayStation. Yep. Had a kick-ass theme, though, and kind of a kick-ass concept, right? Yeah, you beat him down the first time, and just like suddenly he just goes off the screen, floats up. It's like suddenly seven. different foe. Oh yeah, there was like that phase in the first part too, where he like goes to the background, like mind controls another hero for you to fight against briefly. That was like pretty cool. Just how thoroughly he dominated the universes, forced you to fight your friends and all that. Honestly, I'd say like the bosses of MVC 1 and MVC 3, right? I remember Galactus, Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Right, even if the guy was ultimately straightforward, easy to beat once you figure him out. Just the scale and the presentation, everything, the spectacle about it just made it a memorable fight. Not to mention, you know, you're fighting a guy who eats planets and stuff. But the way the announcer would just tell you, you saved the Earth when you kicked his ass, just, it made you feel like a hero. Emperor Mundus in DMC 1. Some of those super combos, though, 250 hits, like, come on. Yeah, I get it. Certainly feels like he be cheating a lot, but... And of course, that attack where he just, like, raises his fists and starts charging up a really long time. If you don't break him, he just, like, practically KOs whoever's out in the field. So it's almost like, yeah, sure, just pick someone to be the sacrifice, get whatever hits you can in, because they're about to go down in, like, the next 5 seconds. Oh yeah, his little snapback too, the finger flip to change your team member. He's just like, nah, I don't want to fight you. Here, bring this other fella out. Just drag him out. Well, he's all chill about it too. He just like points at you, shoots a laser, like, you may die now. He's like, die. Or the one I always liked was when he would like go to the front, just like grab you and starts crushing you. You scream, suffer for your arrogance. Something about that line just sounds really intimidating. I swear, if I ever get like once I get like a sound redeemed, that will probably be one of them. Just have a suffer for your arrogance, because that would just be funny to have. Okay, about halfway through the race, and I just need to get 3 positions. This should be fine. Yeah. It made it all more fun when Ultimate MVC3 had Galactus mode, and you could finally play as the guy who could beat up all the other teams. Like 6 to 8 stages worth of teams, just get to be Galactus and mow them all down. Fun little bit. Had something similar in X-Men vs. Capcom with Apocalypse. Ooh, yeah. It was actually pretty funny. Like, if I remember correctly, it was only MVC2 that kind of had like a... Had a final boss that really wasn't of Marvel or Capcom. Pretty sure every other MVC game had at least a character from one of those 2 universes, right? Infinite had Ultron and Sigma. MVC3 obviously was Galactus. 1 obviously was Onslaught. And then, of course, there was Apocalypse. If I remember, Thanos was like a final boss too, right? Or am I misremembering that? Yeah, that was bizarre, right? Just after having some iconic villains, them 2 just had Abyss, right? Like, who is this Abyss? Why are we fighting them? Why do they have 3 phases? Where did they come from? Why does the Capcom side have like 3 OG characters, kinda sorta, if you don't count Sun Sun? Like, I think someone did say that Cut 2 did have a plot. It's just that, you know, it's not like something you would get if all you did was play the game itself. That's not something most people would have cared about anyway. Thanos was a beast of Marvel superheroes, so cheap with his unblockable supers, infinite supers, etc. Oh, unblockable moves, infinite supers, etc. Yeah, boss syndrome strikes again. They get to break some rules, because I guess they had to make it challenging somehow. But of course, that was when those sorts of games appeared in arcades, and they had to give them some way to make those players keep pumping in those quarters for that sweet, sweet revenue. So, I guess it checks out. 6 super combos, 1 for each gem. You know what? That sounds very fitting. Actually, been kind of neat if they did that for Infinite, but I guess the closest they got was like one of the bosses being able to use 2 of the Infinity gem moves. If it wasn't that, it was trying to better Shao Kahn with that ungodly sledgehammer. Mortal Kombat was kind of like the example of the kind of boss that would be seemingly unflinching to many of your moves and would just power through them with no regards to hit stun or anything like that. It's like they had infinite armor. More credits for the credits thrown. Was hard enough beating like Kintaro. Or it was like Goro. Remember when Goro was mini boss and he did that move? He just leaps off the screen and then lands down on you and stomps you. Or was that Shiva? Oh, either way, one of them had that kind of move and it was like, oh my god, I can't believe they would do that. Why is this so bullshit? Best part is when they made those characters playable and those special moves still existed, so you got to unleash that bullcrap on your opponents for real. Although at that point, NetherRealm was better at balancing. Yeah, Shiva and Goro did that, okay. Motaro was just cheap. Also highly problematic, from I remember correctly, because being a centaur makes it very, I guess, difficult to make him into a proper Mortal Kombat playable character. Like, the one game where he was playable, they had to make him a biped, because I guess they couldn't make him work as a quadruped. And then after that, it was all cameos and stuff, right? Didn't even fight him as a boss. They did him dirty in the second Mortal Kombat film. I feel like a lot of people would rather forget the second Mortal Kombat film, which is a bit of a shame because the first one was great. If at least in that sort of awesomely cheesy way.
For the final bend on Homestead, stay far left for the transition on the banking to avoid unsettling.
Yeah, the first one was epic. Like, I forget which one it was, but they had a guy just like freaking explode. I remember commenting on that. They like one guy beat the other in Mortal Kombat, and then they just started exploding. I mean, the first film also brought us to that theme tune, right? It's like the da 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 da. There were 2 versions of it even. I remember, right? So the first one had like all the lines from the original Mortal Kombat game. Was like "Test your might," and then they had the updated version, which brought in lines from like Mortal Kombat 3. It said "Test your might" instead. It's like started with "Choose your destiny, flawless victory." That was the one I liked more. They were both great, don't get me wrong, but the second one had the other one had like the bit more of the techno feel to it. Not that they weren't both techno, but the other one was just like funky in a way, right? Speaking of songs that would be good in cars, I remember putting that on my playlist, right? The Mortal Kombat theme. That was always a good one to have turn up on the playlist, right? So it came on, everyone just like started dancing in their seats. Gets you hyped up, right? It's like, you know what's coming. It's like everybody's just waiting for the guy to just yell, Mortal Kombat! And everyone would yell along with it. Honestly, such an iconic thing, right? I remember, there was like some sort of contest, I think, for one of the Mortal Kombat games where they were tasking people with just like yelling Mortal Kombat, right? Doing the Mortal Kombat yell. And everyone knew which one they were talking about. That was fun. Yeah, you hear the gong at the start, and you know it's on. Both versions, again, even. Nice to use that theme for the final battle at the end, yeah. I mean, it's just a thing with media in general, right? When you hear the theme music, you know that the heroes are about to get their second win. They're about to kick butt all over the place. Of course, in Mortal Kombat, it was a lot more epic because the theme itself was just super awesome. Or, you know, you have a theme that goes hard and just like start cheering for the hero to really bring it on, kick some butt all the way to the very end. So glad I got it on DVD. I'm sure I could probably find it. I'm sure there's plenty of copies out there. May or may not be new, but you know what? I'm fine with that. As long as it's in good enough condition, right? I should probably hunt that down at some point. And again, there are a lot of things I have a list of that I want to get, but I'm just holding off on because I don't have quite the room to have it just yet, right? I'm like moving from apartment to apartment right now, so try not to get too much stuff on me. Might be failing at that, so I'm trying not to get too much more stuff. My mom and myself went to the cinema to watch it. There was only a few of us in at the time. Ooh. That must have made for a pleasant viewing, at least. I'm guessing... Sounds like your mother is a pretty rad one. If she was like, yeah, hey, you want to go see that Mortal Kombat movie? Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah, it was nice and peaceful. That is good to hear. Although, yeah, you were saying it's like no blood and stuff, so I guess that made it a lot easier to swallow. Sure, you know, people are like kicking the tar out of each other. You got like, you know, fire and skeletons and spikes and what have you, but it's fine. You know, no one's getting dismembered or anything like that. She was super hyped for it. She lost it when that theme tune hit at the opening credits. Ooh. See, now that's cool. Right, when your parents are like into a thing, at the very least they understand why you're into the thing and are excited that you're excited. Man, that's got to be like the coolest thing ever. Just having people support your interest and your hobbies. She used to be quite the gamer with me. Oh boy. Sounds rad, man. It's always great too. Especially with gaming. Because it's like they know what it's like, so they can introduce you to the cool stuff, or at least they know they're more in tune with what you're, the kind of stuff that you like, which is pretty cool. Especially if they keep with the trends and they know what's hot and what isn't, and you know, if they have to go like get you a present for a video game, they usually know what they're talking about, right? It's like you go, hey, I want this game for my birthday or Christmas, and then they know what to get and won't get you the wrong thing, or won't be swayed to get something different. Burnout 2 was her thing. That and Doom, dude. Huh, your mom sounds really cool, man. Yeah, that's a really awesome mother. Burnout 2. We both played Tekken Tag Tournament to death. Aw, yeah. I can see how you would lose a lot of time to that. Man, yeah, just having someone in your family be into gaming like you is great too, because, you know, you could play multiplayer, like, right in the house, right? You didn't have to go to a friend's place all the time to get some versus sessions on. I mean, playing with friends is great, mind you. I did that too, but it's great when someone within the house is willing to, you know, play with you. You know, I had like my siblings were like into games as well, and when we were growing up, we would play some multiplayer stuff together. Like, I remember sessions of us playing games like Mario Party, GoldenEye, Pokemon Stadium, any game with like a multiplayer component to it. We probably played it at some point or another. Good times. I think Tag was one of my favorite Tekken games. That teaming thing was really good. I think people really dug that, especially since you know, it wasn't just that the tag mechanics were good, but like those tag tournament games also brought back like every character from the series up to that point, right? No matter what their status might have been in the story, they just brought them back, right? Like it was that kind of game for them. It was like what do they call them? A dream match game. Just bring back every single character in the series back for a big brawl. I don't have siblings, so it was either all one-player games or my mom would play with me when there was nothing on TV. Ah. But hey, in any case, you still got someone to play games with, so it's pretty rad. Yeah, and Tag Tournament also had Tekken Bowl. Thing that was such a hit, they brought it back for Tekken 7, even if that was like part of a DLC mode. I think that was like one of the other things Tekken became well known for, is like its side modes, especially. Oh, Tekken Bowl was one of them, but they also had like their side scroller, like their 2D beat 'em up likes. Like I remember one of my friends played Tekken 3 a lot, and he was always talking about Tekken Force, like talking about how that was like turned into Streets of Rage. Yeah, Tekken Force. And they brought that. They brought back like an equivalent for future games, so they would have something like that, like a 2D style beat 'em up in other games as well. Do you remember the volleyball mode in 3 that unlocked Gone? Yeah. I forgot they had volleyball. Yeah. So I remember they had just things that kind of contrasted really hilariously with the tale of a family that was afflicted by the devil gene and all that. I was like, sure, you had that, but you also had them go bowling, fighting on a ship with fish, also kangaroos and bears. Yeah, nice change of pace from the arcade mode. Feels like a thing that would be a good fit, right? Because, you know, they already have like a set of special moves. You could see them slotting in at least okay to a beat-em-up style. Like, you saw other fighting games incorporate stuff like that, too. Obviously, Smash Brothers had the story mode from Brawl. I guess to an extent, Ultimate as well, although that was, like, more of a series of fights. And then I guess, actually playing Grand Blue Fantasy Versus a bit, only because, like, Rising is coming soon. I saw, like, some people stream the Rising beta. I was like, oh dude, that looks pretty cool. So I bought it on Steam like a while ago because it was like ultra cheap, so I decided to just like get into it again. Went through this story mode, which is they call it RPG mode, and it is a 2D beat 'em up essentially, and it's alright. Right, certainly won't win any awards or anything, but I think it's like pretty fun doing all the fights I remember from the web game in a fighting game format. I think it's a good thing I kind of got into the story and cosmetic stuff as well, because I did read that some of that stuff will be carrying over to Rising in a way, so, you know, once Rising comes out, I can get right into the Rising RPG mode and continue right where the story left off from the first Versus. Well, I've gone through like the whole story, so now I hit the point where if I want to progress through the endgame bits, I kind of have to like go through the old fights and power up my characters a little bit more, so I can, you know, at least hit the stat checks to make the fights doable to an extent. Makes me think of the Edgemaster mode in Soul Blade. That was really fun to play through, collecting all the weapons for each character and stuff. Ooh, yeah. I remember that being a real positive for the Soul games, especially with Soul Calibur. Right, that one had that that sort of world map mode where you did hit nodes, like do missions, get all the extra content. Like, that was one of the earliest examples I remember people giving perfect scores to, because not only was it a really solid fighting game on its own, but had a lot of stuff on the side too, so you could even play it if you weren't there for the fighting game stuff primarily. Can only hit them when they're mid-air and stuff, yeah. When they would attach those certain stipulations, or like, you know, if they fell over and hit the ground, they would just like suddenly explode into the air like 100 feet. Or maybe the stage would be smaller, or maybe the water level is rising and you only have a limited amount of time to get through this dungeon, so you gotta end each fight as quickly as possible. All sorts of interesting variants. And yeah, the rewards being like different kinds of weapons you could equip. I think it was like in 1 and 2 where those weapons would actually have different effects too, so there's an extra reason to kind of go for those weapons beyond just having a different appearance of weapon for those characters. I remember spending hours doing those dungeons in Calibur. a lot of fights to go through, a lot of carrots on the stick to get. Especially when you got to something like 2, which also introduced like extra characters and costumes. Trying to unlock the 2 special characters, yeah. Ah, man. You know what's a series that should have a dream match game? Soul Calibur. Just like put every character that's appeared in the Soul game ever, stick them in one game. I think people would probably be cool with that. Well, I guess most of them, because yeah, 5 was not perhaps the most well received, but you know, 6 and 4, 1 through 4, just bring characters from bring the best ofs from those games, and people will probably be cool with that, right? Lizard Man and Berserker. God, Lizard Man. I think that was like one of the more jarring omissions from 6. You know, considering the rest of the roster was kind of a back to the roots thing, it was weird they didn't bring back Lizard Man. Like, you could create lizard people in the create a character, but just ain't the same. Especially since, yeah, I guess for all the malignment 5 gets, I think the one thing they did do was make Lizard Man a more distinct character. Was that 4 that they made Lizard Man? Whatever, whichever one like turned him into a dual axe wielding character rather than another sword and board like the other like the Sophie, Tia, and Cassandra was pretty cool. Yeah, the whole create a character was such a game changer. I actually remember was like creating a series of characters in every single game, starting with 3. Just you know, I had like a mental narrative going for them too. It's kind of cool. But yeah, one thing I do miss about create a character is the unique fighting styles that 3 had. Right, it's like, was it 4 onwards? You could only pick a fighting style from an established character, but 3 had like just unique fighting styles. And I know that they probably weren't as good as you know, the established characters, but it was nice having something that wasn't just like a moveset clone of someone else. I get why they don't have that anymore, but there were some of the weapons they had in 3 that I wish they would have like turned into characters on their own. Yeah, like the dancer, if you had the rings, or the other one I remember was like a dagger and bombs. Like, you don't really see an established Soul Cow character with bombs and stuff like that. Or the one I liked was like the magic staff that like changed size and shape for various moves. That one was pretty neat. Or the kick edge. I remember that too, right? for a weapon that's all about like fighting with weapons. They don't have any weapons for. They don't have like anyone with like a fist or a leg weapon, if you don't count Heihachi. Part of me wishes they would do that. Just like introduce a character that does punches and kicks, even if you got to give them like gauntlets and greaves or something to justify them being able to punch and kick with the rest of them. He could probably do a lot of damage with his wooden sandals. Yeah, right. Mr. Iron Fist would be able to hit people real hard. I mean, guy had his 10-hit combos, right? They just brought those over from Tekken, so, you know, he'd do well. I guess that's like one of the things I liked about Soul Calibur 6. I think every single character's fighting style was available for your creative characters, right? If at the very least, if you don't have like completely unique ones, at least give us everyone. Like was a 4 and 5 had certain ones that were disallowed, at least the guest characters, because yeah, I guess Star Wars would make sense that you create a character couldn't use lightsabers and stuff, but I don't know, it's perhaps a bit of a shame that you couldn't use Ezio's style in Soul Cal 5, but yeah, I remember 6, you wanted to use Geralt 2B or Haomaru's style, go right ahead. You got like full carte blanche, even if you know, 2B's weapon set and move set might be vastly different from the rest of them. You could still use it, which was pretty neat. I always liked the pirate gimmick of Cervantes. Yeah, he was like the one character that had weapon set that was like, it was gun, right? He actually had a couple of moves that used gun. That was like pretty cool. It's like dual wielding blades, but one of them was also a gun. And he could just shoot you with it. Ooh. Yeah, it's like one of the things one thing that I remember from Soul Cal, the super moves. They took like different forms. Like Soul Calibur 4 had the critical finish, and they were like moves you probably wouldn't see often because they would only occur if was it someone guarded too much and then you guard broke them and their armor was also broken. You could do your critical finish move. It's like more of a punish for someone who turtled excessively. But they were all like pretty cool, and then was it 5 and 6 retooled them into like more standard super moves you would see in other games, where if the meter was full, they would like do a cool cinematic attack. So you would likely see them more often. It would be interesting to see something like Killer Instinct versus the Souls series. That would be interesting. Could see like a Spinal being a fit in there. Yeah, at the very least, if we don't see like, you know, a full Killer Instinct roster, I think Spinal would be the best fit. Especially the Killer Instinct 2013 version where he got the pirate sword and that unique skull mechanic going for him. Yeah, teaming with Cervantes as well. Fits since they're like both got that pirate thing going on. I guess it could be like that, maybe Aganos, although he's like a 2013 original. Spinal would be like the bigger pick if they wanted like a legacy character. Or, you know, since time displacement can be a thing, they could just like throw in Jago, I guess. Boy. You know, the poster boy Fulgor would be there. You know, I could see that, yeah. Could see people remarking about this machine, maybe equating them to the golems from the Soul series, like, oh my god, is this guy like Astaroth? On that note, isn't it like a bit of a bummer that they had like 5 characters in 4 that were designed by famous artists, and they brought them in. They were moveset clones of other characters, but they only appeared for that game, didn't really appear after that. Bit of a shame, because some of them had like, you know, still had unique weapons and designs to them. So yeah, part of me was hoping that some of them might like see themselves in another game. Maybe a slightly retooled moveset to make them different, but again, alas, nothing of the sort would come. Like even with 6 at I had like 2 season passes. I think what was it? 2 of them were 2B and Haomaru, and then the rest were like other returning characters to the franchise. Like I don't think they had any original new characters introduced via 6 DLC, right? I remember Hilda being one of the 6 DLC characters. Of course, people love that. And Cassandra as well. Like, people were surprised she was DLC, but at least appreciated that she got in for the final roster. And Man, why can't I remember any of the other ones? There were definitely others, though. Was Tira one of them? I think Tira was one of them. Giant ring blade girl. If I remember correctly, Amy as well? Anyways, this is all just gonna lead to me saying, I hope, I hope Soul Calibur 7 will eventually see light of day. Especially given where they left the plot off with 6. Feels like they could really take it in an interesting direction. It's like really cool how they like managed to completely justify the existence of the kind of the reboot of sorts. With how the characters look and make a good anime series. You know what? That is true. It is surprising they haven't made a series of Soul Calibur. It feels like they would be right up there for good, right up the alley for a good series. Like you could see an adaptation working out. Of course, it'd probably appear on Netflix if anything. Hell, even Darkstalkers get on anime. I know, right? Like, Shenmue. Shenmue got an anime. Nier got an anime. If I remember correctly, Tekken got an anime, right? If Tekken got an anime, why can't the Soul series? It was an adaptation of, like, 1 to 3 or something. And Battle Arena Toshinden. Yeah. Toshinden. Yep, Netflix. Yep. Yeah, I feel like that's going to be, like, the thing that happens, right? If you hear, oh, it's going to be an adaptation of this old series, it'll probably show up on Netflix. Seems like Netflix is bankrolling a lot of them. Probably after Castlevania proved to be a hit. Fatal Fury also got one. It's quite rare, but it's out there. Yeah. I mean, even Dead or Alive got it. Right, say what you want about how well received it was, or what people thought of it, but it got one. If I remember correctly, it was like the one adaptation that actually justified the existence of life meters appearing in universe. I forget. It was like some sort of device that they had on people's bodies that like measured something they had in them, so you could tell how close they were to like being knocked out. It was funny, right? It's funny that was one of the things they decided to explain. Yeah, it's always fun to see what series gets like an adaptation. Would love to see a modern remake of Toshinden on current consoles and PC. Would not mind seeing that myself. I remember, I think I saw some people play that on the video a while ago. But yeah. Give us a remaster at the very least. Or port, right? If nothing else, port it some way or another. Even if we don't get something like a remaster on the level of the Elephant Collection. There's some way to not have to go to seek other means to play it, right? Trying to think if there's like any other games that would not mind seeing an update. Guess the one that comes to mind is like actually not fighting game related would be Ape Escape. Like I know its original gimmick of like, you know, having dual stick controls. It's like pretty novel, but they would probably have to change that entirely because having a second stick be the camera is just infinitely more useful than anything else you could do with it for 3D games, at least. Like, I remember even the PSP version, since it didn't have the second stick, just changed each gadget to use button controls, and everyone was talking about how, yeah, this actually works a lot better, right? Sure, it might take away the original intent of the game, but boy, this is way more cool. So they give us like a modern Ape Escape, right? Just do it with modern controls. It could be like a pretty fun, I guess, Zelda-style search adventure game. Primal on PS2, shame it never got a sequel. I feel like a lot of games on PS2 would be like that. Kind of thing where you hope, oh, there would be a 2 or a 3, but you never get that far. Like, say, Dark Cloud. It's like a combination dungeon crawler / city builder. Or I guess, well, there are other examples, right? Or actually, you know what came to mind? Remember Bloody Roar? I imagine you probably do, right? So the fighting game where people could transform into animals. Like, you know, quality-wise, people were pretty on, but, you know, just the idea of a fighting game where people had like were forms was just pretty fun. OMG, I love Bloody Roar. It spoke to the furry in me. Ahaha, yeah, that's true. I hadn't even thought of that, but yeah, I could absolutely see that. But yeah, boy, I would not mind seeing someone try to do like a modern take on Bloody Roar. I imagine, you know, even if it isn't like, you know, straight Bloody Roar sequel, give something like in the style of that. Give us like some sort of were animal fighting game. People would probably warm up to it. Especially if they made it good. I don't know what that would entail, but if anyone were to ever undertake it, I'm sure they would probably have that in mind. Or what about Power Stone? I remember losing a lot of time to Power Stone when I first played it on the Dreamcast. Especially 2. Because 2 had like the whole mixing thing you could do. You could like collect items and combine them together to see if you could get other items. And there were like 120 of them to find, and that was like a lot of the fun. Also trying to find costume pieces, and sad there were only ever 2 games in the series. They had like that PSP version, which put them into a collection and let you... And they brought in characters from the first game and let you play them in 2, but sadly we never got like a Power Stone 3. You know, that's like one of the series Capcom needs to have repped as a fighting game character. Right? I think that would be like the best example. I remember people actually clamoring for like a Power Stone character for a fighting game, like, or at least throw Falcon in there. Vagrant Story. That was a fun PS1 RPG. I remember reading about that. I think it was like, forget. I think the art style, at least, was very reminiscent of Final Fantasy Tactics. Actually, if I remember correctly, that entire game kind of tied into the Tactics verse, or the Evilise games, as they would come to call them. It was like Tactics, 12, Vagrant Story, and like a couple others, right? Yeah, I do remember reading an article about it, and like they were talking about how you could like target individual parts of an enemy that would cause like different status effects on them. So you could like hit them in the legs and then hit them in the arms, and you would like, you know, hinder them in different ways, which I thought was like pretty cool. It was pretty novel at the time. Took a long time to get through, but the story was really good. I'm sure it was. Seemed like a lot of the Evilise games had compelling stories. Like Tactics was pretty good, even before the retranslation they did for it. And then 12 was pretty fascinating as well. I think most of the complaints there came from the guy who was kind of the main character, at least marketed as the main character, actually wasn't the main character. It's kind of put in after the fact. Everyone else had more involvement in the story than Vaughn did. You know, it was a funny thing about Vagrant Story. It was actually the game that kind of introduced me to the concept of what TV tropes would call like a gender blender name, right? It's a name that like you would normally hear on a different gender being used. Because was it the main character's name was Ashley? I remember thinking, wait, isn't Ashley a girl's name? And yet the guy here was like named Ashley, and it, like kind of got me going down that rabbit hole. It's like, okay, so what other names out there are like unisex, right? What other names would be used for like any gender? Kind of got me into that. Yeah, it's a weird thing, but yeah, it's like one of the rabbit holes I dove down because of Vagrant Story. That and Wild Arms 2. I think Wild Arms 2 also had a guy that was named Ashley. Yeah, there were like other names too that were originally dudes, but over time, like became women's names, like Beverly and Vivian, a couple others. In any case, that's like the MX5 challenge. So now we're off to a German rivals. Let's see what we got here.
Epic rivalry between German motorsport.
Epic rivalry.
Started in the factory and continues today in the shop and on the track, fueling the innovation to create 3 inspired sports sedans. The
Ooh, BMW M3.
Proven handling, the Audi S4's legendary Quattro all-wheel drive, the mighty AMG-powered Mercedes-Benz.
You know, what is it with the trend of certain car models just being letter number? Also, I actually remembered like the car brand, the car model that my friends used to talk about all the time. It was the RX-7. That was Mazda, right? The Mazda RX-7. I think that was like the car that was heavily featured in Initial D, so that's why they got like super obsessed with it. All right, we'll take the RX-7 as peak Mazda. You know what? Yeah, I could see that. Not only did it make its appearance in media, it was probably like a good car overall. Let's go with BMW. Pick it up. Ooh, look at this, a lighter blue. I won't get that for sure. We're going to Kyalami. Just tuning up real quick. Bringing up to the 500s. Oh, wait, oops, I backed out. I meant to continue. Okay, good, they didn't kick us back all the way to the select your cup menu. The Grand Prix circuit. Oh yeah, we're going all the way in here.
At Kyalami, taming the crocodiles, cheetah, and leopard corners will lower your lap times and possibly earn you a shot at the podium.
What are the odds that none of these corners are going to be named that in the practice run? It's probably something like turn 5, turn 6, turn 7. You know, now I think about it, I'm starting to understand why the company is called Turn 10. Considering, you know, they started with Forza Motorsport. Ah, what? Rewind disabled? Oh, right, it's because we didn't start the actual time trial yet. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I never did try to rewind before I started a lap proper, till now. So now I know. Or it's probably just like a thing that happens in the first few seconds of every race. Because there's not much to rewind back to, I guess. Who knows, maybe it's like whatever programming quirks they have. They can't rewind you all the way back to the start of a race. It just like probably breaks the game something fierce. So they just have a designated save point where they can start the rewinding tech. Boy, after playing something like Grid 2, where you know, your rewinds are far more limited in number, you have to ration them out much more carefully. Yeah, just having a free rewind in in the Forza series, it's nice, right? It's like there, right? If you just prefer to have like a way to kind of, you know, undo your mistakes if you mess up big time, then they give you the option, which is cool, right? Don't even need to worry about it being resource limited, just use it as much as you want. Time traveling is alive and well in the Forza universe, right? One of the things that never gets explained, but people are just glad it exists. All good unless you use it in an online race. Yeah, online races by nature, they have to have it work differently. Right, so yeah, I remember that happening in was it Horizon when I used rewind in an online race. It's like, yeah, sure, you do get to reset your own position, but of course everyone else moves forward as they should. Because it would just be inconvenient to otherwise. But yeah, at that point it's just like, you know, why would you have it there in that case, right? If you spin out in an online race, if you mess up turning in an online race, well, you're kind of boned either way. Because you're going to have to make up lost time one way or another. Either to get yourself back on track, or catch back up after losing so much ground to the rewind. And you know, online being online, it's not likely your opponents will mess up, so you're kind of sort of already done. Same when I've missed a checkpoint. Right? Although I have to admit, since, you know, online doesn't reset everyone else's positions, I kind of just let it go. Because either way, I'm gonna get dragged back to that checkpoint anyway, so might as well just keep on going. Although I guess since the missed checkpoint does have a countdown, I guess rewinding earlier does give you a slight less of a disadvantage, if anything. Yeah, once you spin out, it's like, well, it's over. It's all over. Oh man. So yeah, times like those. If I were in an online race, I would have to just grin and bear it. That reminds me, it's update day tomorrow. Oh! I had to admit, I've not been keeping up on Forza Motorsport news. Is there anything big coming with the update? Are they implementing like a new track? I did see there was like a blue dot next to the featured tab in the career menu, so I have to assume they moved on to like the next monthly Cup series. Bit of a shame because I forgot to. Oh, in Horizon. Okay, in Horizon. All right. I did see they had a seasonal shift there. Yeah, it's like all focused on American cars, which was especially amusing because the stadium, in addition to bringing back the oval track, had like giant inflatable footballs everywhere around the stadium, so just ran into them and punted them for kicks. Changeover day for the playlist. Yeah, that's true, yeah. Thankfully, I did my playlist stuff and got the 40 points, so I got both the cars. It's funny, I'm still doing that. 2 years later, I'm still doing the weekly stuff to at least get the playlist points to get the cars. At the very least, get the ones labeled exclusive. If they say hard to find, and I'm usually pretty cool with just letting it slide. But if it says exclusive, I'm like, yeah, I'll just do whatever tasks I need to get that. Thankfully, it's usually like the 20-point reward. Very rarely do they have exclusive cars at the 40-point reward. Like they did for this week, sadly. This week was one of the ones where they have exclusive cars at 40 points. Which isn't too bad. The oval doesn't feel right. That last corner feels off. I did get a feel for that. Like, you couldn't quite, like, get through the turn. At least with the car I was driving. I did see the preview for the next season too. They're bringing back Winter Wonderland, which of course they would. It is going to be in the month of December. It is a little funny though, since I forgot what I was gonna say. Anyways, copy and paste ice rink. Yeah, at least they're bringing that back. So if you missed out some evolving world challenges, you get another shot at those, I guess. Unless they like bring back a different thing. They could spice things up and have Santa fly over the festival on this sleigh, or some equivalent to that. At the very least, the Halloween Or at least the October event did see variants. It's like, what, year 1, like right after release, had the traditional Halloween stuff, and then the year after that was obviously 10th anniversary for Forza series, for the Horizon series, so they had that. And then this year was Dia de los Muertos. Yeah, I saw they were bringing back, it said they were going to bring back Secret Santa, along with all the other wintry stuff. I know, right? Can't believe it's been 2 years already since Horizon 5. Like, almost feels like yesterday that I first downloaded the game and went through the intro and everything, and was unlocking all the stations and stuff. And now, I'm kind of just like going in and getting the tasks done. I'm like, yeah, hey, you know what? It's been pretty fun. Yeah, I only do as much as I need to get the 40 points usually. Or if I'm feeling especially lazy and the exclusive car is at the 20-point reward, then I'll just do 20 points. Yeah, by now it's autopilot, going through the motions, right? I've driven all those tracks multiple times now. I got, like, good tricked out cars for whatever restrictions they might place on me. Jeez Louise. This kind of pile up here. Same here, I don't grind anymore, I'm over it, right? We're just there to get the cars. The new tracks aren't bad. Especially since they added the Event Lab stuff. The flat Event Lab island has been a godsend. Like, they had that one featured Event Lab event, which was basically like a romp through West Coast USA. Or a city in West Coast USA, which was pretty cool. Just being able to check out that sort of flat city and the way they put together all the elements to give it that feel of West Coast USA city. Pretty neat. The track itself was good, but I didn't like the 2x gravity. Huh. So that did feel like something was off, so I guess that's what that was. Huh. Alright. Now I know. Also, the speed boosters they had for the straight sections. You'll like go through the turn, and you hit that booster, and you just fly down the street at like really, really fast speeds. I think about it. All my favorite Event Lab tracks from Horizon involved like recreations of cityscapes in some way or another. I guess it's like the kind of thing that takes a lot of thought to put into. It's like, alright, so how do I give this track the feel of being in a city with the resources I have and still make it a viable racetrack? And it's like pretty cool what they do to make it so, and give it that distinct feel. I wouldn't mind them bringing back those towers we had to climb for the treasure chest. Oh my god. That month was the best. I do think we did talk about that, but yeah. The way they kind of turned the treasure hunt on its head, where finding it was the easy part, but getting to the treasure chest itself was a nice change of pace, right? Turned it into Wipeout, but with vehicles instead, and that was like pretty cool. And they only had 3 of those, which was weird. Like, week 4 did not have that sort of treasure chest hunt that the other 3 weeks did, which I found weird. I guess they couldn't think of enough ideas for the 4th one, or they found like some problem at the last minute that forced them to scrap it. Because I did notice like the tour for that week was like worth 8 points. I don't think... Was it always worth that much? I don't think it was. It was weird that the Horizon tour you went on for that week was gave you a lot of progress towards getting those cars. Yeah, I really don't have the patience to make something like that. Could you imagine having to do that? Having to like test with whatever classic car you have to make sure that you can clear each obstacle and make it a viable thing. Like, that was the other fun type of event lab, just seeing the types of obstacle courses they made for the cars. Especially people who like expert mastery of the things like the jump panels and the boosters and everything to give you a real fun, wild ride. I've built prefabs and stuff, but it's a project that's on the back burner for now. Yeah, I can see that, especially this far in. It's like, well, you know, in those 2 years, other games have come out that probably occupied your time now. Man, it's crazy. Like, I can imagine there are a couple other games where if that was like the only game I was interested in, I could see myself just losing a lot of time to it. But, you know, with so many out there that I want to play and experience in some way or another, times are different. Yeah, exactly. Why bother? Everyone else is got the logos and the liveries and stuff. You know, just let them, right? Let the pros have at it. I will enjoy the fruits of their labor. Yeah. Don't have to spend hours myself. I remember, I did create like one event lab event like back in the day. Even that like took me a while to, you know, program and get the rules right and make the track and everything. It's like really satisfying to see it all come together at the end, but boy. Even creating like a little event like that took a lot of time. You can just imagine games like Mario Maker. That's all about the level creation. Like, I would enjoy maybe making that stuff, but it wouldn't hold a candle to the people who could like get really good with it and make some cool, fun ideas out of it. Maybe even original. I know that feeling. My street circuit around Moulage took 3 days to fine-tune, playtest, and get just a lot of time you gotta put into one thing to get it, to make it just right. Certainly respect all the people who put in all that time to get it just right. That's why I'm glad of the grouping feature for props. Ooh, yeah. I did remember them making a big point of that. So you can more quickly get something resembling a plausible looking racetrack, which is pretty neat. I like to put in the extra stuff in to make it feel like a real street circuit, like the boom cameras and stuff. Ah, I do like that too. A nice attention to detail. Yeah, things like the cameras to give it that authentic feel to it. There was that one city circuit I raced that was like a really long highway track that had some elements put together to make it look like giant electronic billboards were on the skyscrapers, which that was like pretty cool. They even had like sections of the road where it would like split off. Well, at least give it like the appearance of it splitting off, so you can imagine there like being an exit there or something. But obviously, it wouldn't actually be there. But well, it gave it like a sense of a real highway circuit, which was pretty neat. But yeah, things like that. Some details to make it like a track that might exist in a physical space.
Last lap.
Those neon light tubes are perfect for that. Oh, yeah. The number of tracks I've seen that use those tubes to make arrows. Make it like those giant arrows you would see on like a street racing game that would tell you, hey, turn here, and would act like invisible walls to guide you along too. Like in a lot of Need for Speed games. Man, part of me wants to like go back into the event lab and try to make something, but yeah, it's like you said, you know, it takes a lot of time, and everyone else has already done it. Yeah, it'd be nice if they added some aftermarket logos for billboards. Or maybe some way to decorate a billboard. Same way you would like edit a livery for a car. But I'm sure that's probably like its own beast for things like processing power and memory. Hey, look at that. An event done. I'm gonna get some water real quick.
Good work out there. We finished P1.
Ooh. Nice and refreshing. Alright, we're off to a good start here. One good thing about that island, nothing to render in. That's probably why they have it like a separate location too. Big flat plane, just build whatever the heck you want. We freed up the most resources we could and give you as large of a space you could as well, so you can create the events of your dreams and not have to worry about things like terrain, unless you choose it to be so. They just need to fix the pieces now so they're not janky to attach. I bet. That's like its own beast on its own. Imagine if someone is hard at work at that, they're really trying. They're really trying to get it to feel right. Here we are at the Nürburgring. Nürburgring? Ah, nothing to say. Oh, alright. Let's get in there then. I got too used to the radio person having something to say about the track, but I guess they ran out of things to say. That's one fancy spectator stand with that half canopy. You know, that's the VIP section. Those tickets cost a little bit more to get under. I've seen that in several stadiums I've gone to for events. They always have like that VIP section where it's like either closer to the field or in a section with like a bit more cover. Maybe fewer people around, so you could really enjoy the game there. Oh yeah. Oh, what? Rewind disabled? Crap. Well, this is why I get 3 practice laps. Press Y to rewind my foot. You know you're just gonna drag me back into the sand. I saw where the rewind started. Rewindability started. Or one of those skyboxes with the sofas and the champagne and all that. Yeah, your own private space to watch the game. And you could party, which you probably would be doing most of the time, right? Because if you're in the box like that, you're probably not there for the game. Or at the very least, it would just be like background dressing for whatever you were really there for. You know, I have to admit, I never was in a skybox or a sporting event, but I don't think I'm missing out on much. I think it's been a while since I last went to a sporting event, actually. Many, many years, I would say, even. I wouldn't want that, to be honest. I'd want to be as close to the action as possible. I totally get that. Yeah, get the front row seats instead. I'm sure that's, like, very pricey for its own reasons. Because, you know, people would pay a premium to be right up there. Right up close to the action. Oh, if I know for wrestling, you're looking for 200 pounds plus for ringside seats on the hard cam side. I can see that. Not only do you get a front row view of the action, you also potentially get to be on TV. Could be like, hey everyone, I'm on TV, and that's where you get like the people holding up the various signs for various things. Some of which have gone popular. They've become meme-tic for various reasons. Hold that sign high, right? That's why you got them tickets. Just hope you're not like right behind the person who is also going to hold up a sign. Has anyone ever done anything like that? Just like been on TV, realized they were on TV, and just did something wild? You know, if either spontaneous or planned. I think there's like one time that happened to me. I was at my local fair, and my local news station actually came up to me because I was like with my friends, and they asked, "Hey, you think we could like tag behind you for a bit? We want to get some footage of people at the fair, and we just want to like record you." So they like hooked us up with like mics and stuff, and followed us around. I think the saddest part is I don't think I got to see myself on TV, right? Despite them like following us for a bit, and us telling our parents about it. We got to the news, and I guess they did not end up using the footage or something like that. Look at you getting on TV, I know, right? Yeah. That was a fun memory. Never before. I can imagine being one of those jumbotrons at a stadium. Oh boy. And just imagine that. Just the camera randomly cuts to an audience member. You see your face on there. It's like, oh wait, that's me. You start doing something. Or maybe you don't do anything. You just kind of slink down and just hope, okay, I hope they switch off of me soon. I feel like that's what I would do. If I just suddenly saw myself on the big screen, I'd just be like, okay, please go to someone else. Usually the kiss cam or something. Oh boy. You know, I found that thing amusing, but these days I can kind of see why people would be a bit weirded out by it. Especially since you can imagine the people doing the cam, they don't know what the status of those people are. It could be like shooting two people who might not want that, or they might be siblings, or you know, there's other things that might go wrong for it. But yeah. Like I don't know if places do kiss cams anymore. At the very least, when I go to sporting events, I don't see kiss cams being a thing anymore. Like, I can see why they would discontinue that. Like, times have changed, standards have changed. Maybe people realize maybe kiss cams aren't quite the best idea anymore. I've seen vids of those on that. He goes in for the kiss and she just turns the other way like, nope, yeah, I know, right? It's like, maybe kind of pressuring folks into that. Not the best idea. And you know, that's kind of setting aside the whole thing that they always have a you know, masculine and feminine person on the cam, right? Very true. Yeah. But yeah, these days if they have like you know, mid-round breaks or anything like that, it's usually like a stretch or someone bringing out like a t-shirt cannon or a hot dog cannon. Or maybe they'll have like some sort of special charity event going on in the field where they got like kids running races against the mascots for funsies, or like a special challenge, or maybe like fan of the game where they get like a special prize. All those stuff it tends to be pretty fun. Ooh, project first all the way. Okay, yeah, let's do it. We'll never say no to extra credits. Oh yeah, the basket shot by the fan at the basketball, given the 3-point challenge or the across the court challenge. I think there was like that one time where they were doing it for like $1 million. I think someone actually landed it, or they got close to it, or something like that. Wild. It's tiring watching my sport in person. A lot of walking if you're following the players around the golf course. Oh, yeah. Boy, golf course crowd logistics must be something else. Gotta make sure you ferry everyone to the right spots and you have to section them off. You gotta open up sections at the right time and close them off at the right time. Make sure there's no unruly folks trying to rush at the golfers either. Yeah, and imagine, just walking and being out there in the open weather probably worsens the mood of some folks, like, much more quickly. Security is probably of the utmost importance. Only because the barriers to the course are much lower. Oh yeah, people walking around with big signs with quiet on them. Because that's how you get them to pay attention. I remember that being like one of the real men of genius people they jokingly congratulated, like Mr. Baseball or golf sign carrying guy. I forget what they actually called him. It was like, proudly you walk around with your piece of paper taped onto a board. Actually, I glued it on. But yeah, all that, and you can imagine the people who have to carry around the golfers' clubs too, the caddies, and making sure that the golfers also have appropriate transportation. I guess recovering the balls too, like those that like fall into water hazards. Like I always actually remember that being an occupation, like people just like go diving into water traps and just retrieving all the golf balls that like dropped in there. I can imagine those caddies are paid super well paid and get tips. We can hope, right? They're doing an important thing. Hopefully they are not being mistreated. Yeah, golf ball divers. I remember that being like a thing. A plot point in some shows too. Like someone will go, "Hey, I managed to pick up a job. What are you doing?" I get golf balls from water traps, water hazards in golf courses. And get to fly first class everywhere. It's like a lot of famous folks, I bet. Or maybe like famous adjacent folks even sometimes. Yeah, just need a snorkel and you're good to go. Maybe a little practice in diving techniques. Hopefully, the water hazards in golf courses are like well maintained and stuff too. Because imagine diving into a pool of water. You hope it's not like extremely stagnant, because bad stuff can happen if you get into water that's too stagnant. Yeah, it's like the other thing I have not done in my life is fly first class. Get the feeling I'm probably not missing much on there either. Maybe just like more leg room, bit more comfortable seating, maybe slightly better food. I don't know. Would be nice, but I really don't need it. The 17th at TPC Sawgrass must have a lot in the holes right in the middle of a huge lake. Those are always my favorite types of holes. The ones where you don't have like a straight path, a path of green from the tee to the hole. You actually have to like, do some swings. Popular course type for golf video games. When I play games like Mario Golf, you'll always have like that one course, that one hole, where it's like the hole is like on in the middle of a platform or something, and it's either like a giant lake or a giant canyon in between it, and you just have to be really good at swinging. You have to be really good at hitting that ball into the green.
3 remaining.
Oh, now you're saying something. Huh. I don't have the accuracy for something like that. Neither do I. Amusingly enough, golfing was like one of the sports I wanted to do in high school, but fortunately I don't think my school did golf when I was in high school during those years. So I had to do other sports instead. First tried the swim team, but I don't know. That took a lot of time. Like my swim team in particular had Saturday practices where we would come in on Saturdays to do practices, and that ate a lot of time, right? It was like that kind of thing where I would much rather spend my Saturdays watching cartoons on TV or playing video games or heck, even doing homework. So I switched the tennis team instead, which was slightly better, although it was tiring for its own reasons. The thing about sports is that you would have to get out of classes certain days too, especially when you would meet and compete with the other schools. You would have to miss like afternoon classes, and of course you would have to stay some time afterwards too. So, you know, you get home in like the evening, and by then there'd probably only be enough time to do homework, eat dinner, go to bed. Maybe not in that order. One good way to get a tan. Yeah, that's for sure. Golfing would be a good way to get a tan. I can imagine it's tiring too. Yeah, swim team. Especially the level of involvement you had to do, and, you know, the effort you would have to take in for swimming to begin with. Yeah, it takes a lot out of you. Time and energy-wise. It's like, yeah, after 2 years of that, I'm like, I'm good. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, the only reason I did join a sports team was just so I could get gym credit. I could get physical education credit. So I could like do sports teams in lieu of a physical education class, and then I could use that time to do another class. I think I put that to good use in my senior year, at least, where I did like a computer graphics course instead of having to do gym. Which, you know, I learned something new there. That was pretty fun. Me and sports isn't a good mix. I like my frame as it is without getting bulked up or something. Oh yeah, that's like the other part of it too, right? That was always like the thing, the worry about it, where, you know, if you're someone who prefers to be lean, then you work out too much and you might end up getting muscle. But I think that's like something that has been, at the very least, debunked to a degree. Where it's like, sure, you do get muscle when you work out, but to get like the muscles like you would see in something like, say, a world's strongest competition, you would have to work out to a really extreme degree. So yeah, and there are other types of workouts you could do too that don't build muscles. So, you know, if you want to do something like cardio or more weight loss related, you could focus on those exercises instead. So yeah, there's plenty of options you could do for working out that don't put muscle on your body if that's not your thing. I had to admit, that was like always one of those event types that fascinated me. Just when like a world's strongest competition goes up and seeing the kind of stuff they do there. Like one of them I saw was like them just pulling a whole semi, and of course you have the weightlifting and the stuff like that. Treadmill is good for me to keep toned and work on cardio. Yeah, that's always the classic exercise equipment, the treadmill. Like if someone has a house and they're looking to at least stay fit to a degree, they will probably have a treadmill. Easy way to get your walking in without ever having to leave your house. especially even more potent now that some of them come with screens, or you could like maybe put a TV in front of it and get those sorts of videos of like, say, travel videos of people walking or something like that to give you that more of a sensation that you're out on the walk, which is fun. Really interesting to watch on TV. I know, right? Every time I see like a strength competition just come up, I can't help but watch. I guess it's just like the sheer display of raw strength. It's like, man, I am never going to be the type of person who could pull like a truck cab, but seeing those folks do it, it's just like, wow. Just wow. Absolutely nuts. Those big stone ball things they lift on those platforms, oh my god. Like the procedures they have to do too, right? They gotta go through the right motion so they don't have to like pull a muscle or something like that. Just, you know, the stuff they would have to go through to pull that off. Absolutely nuts. Actually reminds me of this one video they had on, I think it was Jimmy Kimmel, because they do like a video they just pluck from the internet. One of them is actually a weightlifting thing where someone was lifting up a barbell and then they dropped it down, but it like rolled off the stage, actually like rolled out into the judges area, and you can see like the judge just jump out of their seat. Thankfully they got out of the way in time, thank god, because oh my god. There's no way that would have gotten onto Jimmy Kimmel if, you know, the outcome was different. It would actually been an article on the news. And, you know, much different wording. Probably wouldn't have pictures for good reason. Seeing those big weights, they start to shake and then some throw up. Oh boy. That's its own beast. Oof! Sounds like something off Live Leak. Maybe it was. It's like either that or TikTok. So it's always like the vertical videos, right? The ones that you would probably shoot on a phone. Off of a phone camera. But yeah. It's like I can understand why they would put judges' table like in front of the stage, because that's like the best angle you could judge a weightlifting thing, but also comes with extremely big risks, like someone who slips on handling a barbell. I guess when it comes to like more official competitions, that's why the stages are larger. Right, more space, so if someone does inadvertently drop a barbell, it's like more time for the judges to like get out of the way before it rolls off. Yeah, I'd be worried of using those in case it gets stuck on my neck or something, and yeah, there's that. Yeah, that's why I guess when you're doing that, you know, in say a gym, usually helps to have someone spot you, so you can get that right off, and the off chance your arms just suddenly fail you, and you're like, oh geez. Have you seen those that end up breaking an arm with the benchless? No, I haven't. I'd admit, that's like the point where I draw the line where someone, like, you know, gets injured. No. I can't. It's not something I'm big into.
The iconic Ohio sports car course was built to the contours of the land, with twisting, plunging corners and exciting high-speed crests, making it a favorite for both drivers and fans.
I always do like a track that manages to model itself around the terrain. Yeah, I can imagine workout injuries are prevalent. At the very least, they're present. kind of thing where you have to take precautions to try to minimize that kind of risk, but even if you do, stuff just happens. Having a spotter and all that, yeah. Someone to help you out if things go awry, that's always helpful. I've always fancied to go on those rope things they flick up and down. Huh. I don't think I've heard of that, that sorts of exercise device before. Whenever I hear a rope thing, I always think of like something like a Bowflex. When I used to watch like cable TV a lot, that was like one of the products I would see advertised all the time. I assume this is like really different though. Such false advertising. Who smiles like that when working out? That is true. Also, maybe not all it's cracked up to be, device-wise. Just looks fancy, but, you know, maybe practicality-wise, there's other things you could get that would be much more worth it and less cumbersome. Yeah. Like, yeah, he's gonna be made up and perfect looking when they're working out. Nah, man. Gonna be all sweating. They're gonna be grunting. Their faces probably gonna have that look that looks like they're trying to bite some really, really hard jerky or something like that, right? Eyes are probably like squeezed shut and everything. Yeah, face as red as a lobster, sweating, out of breath. Alright, you get to like the final repetition. They finally like put that thing down. They like just step out of the thing. And they're just like bent over, trying to catch their breath. Just breathing heavily. Inside you're thinking, yeah, kill me now. It's like, please, I am in pain. I want this, I just want to sit down, I just want to rest. I just want to get a big plate of my favorite food and just wolf it down. You really pay for it the day after. I've actually heard that, like, advice, like, you know, if you're getting back into exercising, or if, you know, you're starting from like, close to a zero, you don't want to go all out, right? You want to gradually work your way up to having an intense workout, because, yeah, if you do, like, go all the way out, you know, very early on, you will, yeah, like you said, pay for it the day after. You might not feel it then, but you will be really sore, you might be burning, you will not move much the day after, yeah. I was like an old man after the first time. OMG, I could hardly move. Yeah. Yeah, if I did that, if I were to like get back into exercise, it would probably be like the kind of thing where I maybe start with a short workout and then just like gradually work my way back up. Right? it's like RPGs, right? You don't get like a huge block of stats all at once. You gotta slowly build that up. It's like the same way in real life. You're not gonna build up a whole bunch of strength and endurance day one. You gotta work your way there. Slowly increase the intensity of your workouts, and eventually, you'll feel the results, right? At least that's what people say all the time. Yeah, work the thighs. Gotta have the femboy thighs. Always a trend I find weird these days. The thigh squish. Like, you know, when you see people wearing like thigh-high socks, it seems like it's like pinching their thighs, and I don't know. I guess people like that now, but I always get like weirded out by it because the only thing I can imagine is just like, what about their circulation though? Like you're gonna feel that after a while, right? It's gonna like mess them up if they keep it like that for long. Like, sure, not having the squish makes it look like painted on, but I don't know. Seems like it would be more comfortable, more plausible. End up with red rings, I know, right? Or, you know, you'll see that with like shorts too, with the cuffs that just like really look like they're just squeezing them super hard. I'm like, man, you're not gonna be able to walk after a while if you keep wearing them like that. I don't know. It's just me. I know it's like a drawing and all, but sheesh. I just can't help think. Their poor legs. They're gonna be feeling that if they keep that up. Oh. That's gonna be an illegal pass, isn't it? Wait, really? I mean, I know I had like the easy rule set, but feels like that's something they would have dinged me for in other cases. Ah well. I'll take it. No penalties, that's fine by me. Nice cone scatter too. Do like the physics objects, right? When the physics objects like they work out and get nice little scenery, makes it feel like they're like less just, you know, arbitrary things they placed in the thing. Like, it's always great when you run into a tire pile and right you see the tires just like scatter everywhere. You're like, oh yeah. That's when you know they got like a good physics thing going. Yep, that's the one thing I love about Wreckfest. Just raining tires. Yeah, especially when you got like the cars that are, or the driving games that are based around mayhem. You want a good physics engine. Because you want to see those parts flying all over the place. You want to see the spectacular visuals and the explosions and everything. The dust clouds, the debris clouds. And yeah, raining tires. I'm still waiting for, like, more news on Recreation. I forget when they first announced that. It was like the Three Fields game that they announced was coming next. How long has it been since they said that was coming? I mean, I know it's probably not going to be like this amazing thing, but I really do want to see it. On that note, would it kill them to like put any Three Fields games on Steam? Like, give me Dangerous Driving on Steam. I would play it there. I think at this point, only Dangerous Driving is on. If you want to get Dangerous Driving on PC, you have to get it on Epic Game Store. And I guess there's a sale coming soon. But even if it's like there's a sale going on, I always keep on checking Dangerous Driving on EGS, but they never put Dangerous Driving on sale. If I want to get it, I had to pay like $30, and I don't know if I want to pay $30 for Dangerous Driving. It's probably a fun game, but I don't know if it's like $30 fun. That being said, I do have it on Xbox, so I could play it there. That would be like a personal play kind of thing. Come to think of it, whatever happened to the Carmageddon series? I remember that. I remember watching my older brother, I think, play it. I remember thinking the idea was like pretty rad. You're like in a car with weapons. And you got to do missions in it too. I think about it. We don't see like too much in the way of vehicular combat. Like last time we saw something akin to that was like Twisted Metal, and that was on PS3, and that was like a really long time ago. It was fun running over the zombies. Oh, yeah. Yeah, even Twisted Metal has dropped off. It's like, boy. I guess there isn't too much of a demand for vehicular combat. At the very least, vehicular combat that isn't Mario Kart. But even Mario Kart doesn't put too much focus on the combat mode. Like, the most they did was, like, update it for Deluxe, which was very much needed. But they really didn't add much, right? They made it a proper battle mode, but it's not like they added new battle arenas. Like, even their booster course pass was all racetracks, which, yeah, sure. Racing is what you're going to be doing like 95% of the time in Mario Kart, but I don't know. Wouldn't it kill them to put in a new arena or two, right? Maybe a new mode or something like that? Mind you, Twisted Metal did get a stream. Oh, yes, I did remember reading about that. It's like, yeah, Twisted Metal was on Paramount Plus. I remember people being really shocked that Twisted Metal got a series. I also remember people being really shocked that it was like actually decent. They actually like apparently it's actually like okay, right? Maybe not like amazing, but it wasn't like, you know, terrible, which is probably more than you could ask for a lot of these types of adaptations. 2012 was their last game. Wow, yeah. Has been that long, hasn't it? Like, I remember even, like, that Twisted Metal game being not quite what people wanted out of it, right? Because when you think of, like, Twisted Metal, you think of, like, you know, a wide cast of characters and unique weapons and vehicles and stuff like that, and 2012 had you, like, as part of one of 3 factions, if I remember correctly. It was, like, very largely online, too, which you can imagine, at this point, it's probably since shut down. I think everyone agrees that Twisted Metal 2 and Black were the best 2 of the series. I do remember hearing a lot of praise for Black. Especially since, was it after 2, they went in more of like an absurdist direction, and Black kind of brought it back to that sort of more dark feel that the original games had. But yeah. If they do make a new vehicular combat, it would probably be something like a downloadable title, right? Or, you know, if it wasn't like part of a racing game itself. Big ups to them for getting a guy who did Invader Zim soundtrack for the music in black. Dude, that's like pretty fitting actually. Yeah. A soundtrack like Invader Zim's would slot in pretty well for a Twisted Metal series. When you think about like the weirdness that Twisted Metal, levels of weirdness that Twisted Metal achieved. Yeah. Zim style soundtrack like would fit it right in there. Actually remember it being a big deal when they did was it a Twisted Metal Black remake? They brought it from the PS2 to the PS3. They gave it like online support, and people were like marking out over that. Of course, because hey, it's like a car combat games well suited for multiplayer, and you got to play it online. Yeah. I think a lot of video games at that era getting like online editions was like a pretty big deal. I think it was like one of the Tekken games also got that, and people were like pretty cool about it. Like pretty excited for that. I don't know. Maybe some point down the line, someone will also miss those car combat games and like make a spiritual successor to it, and everyone will be super excited for it. Car combat was a big thing in the day. Because, like, what's more exciting than a vehicle with weapons? I don't know. I guess for some reason there's like some sort of cool factor attached to it. Like having a car that like shot missiles and stuff. Yeah, Twisted Metal, Vigilante 8, Rogue Trip, and that ilk. I think that's why, like, James Bond was one of the things that people liked about James Bond, too, because he always drove the cars with, like, the cool gadgets and stuff. Like, they would have, like, you know, in addition to weapons, they would have, like, various other devices, or they could become submersibles, or other things. Like, what was it? That one James Bond video game that people was became well received, had like the driving segments. They actually said it was like, yeah, we used the Need for Speed engine for this, and they also brought in, you know, they had like the things like the missiles and the machine guns and what have you. It was Nightfire, right? I remember Nightfire kind of being well-received Bond game. One of the better ones received post GoldenEye. World Destruction Lead Thunder Tanks. Oh, I remember playing that on the N64. I remember being really excited about seeing all the different types of tanks I could drive there. And of course the pickups that you could get on the field. Yeah, I think my neighbor had that. And we would play that a lot. You know, just being able to go through tanks on a city, it's always fun. TV show style presentation was great, yeah. Always liked the game that manages like a unique presentation that was more than, you know, animated cutscenes and voice acted as well. Not that there's anything wrong with that, mind you, but a game that manages to get like a unique style presentation that fits the premise. It's always appreciated. Something like, say, Split Second with this whole reality show premise. The way they divided everything into episodes, had the previous episode, the next episode, teasers, And yeah, the ending of the game too. That playthrough was so fun. I really ought to upload that on YouTube. Just like stick that on my VODs channel. I've put up some of like my other old playthroughs on the VODs channel. But I really only started like regular archives with Lego 2K Drive. But I got like a wealth of other playthroughs I could put up there. I should probably do that, like maybe once a month, just put up an old playthrough. Or at least put like more videos per week out on that channel. But yeah, Split Second would be one of them. I was actually thinking of just like putting up Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed as well, because that game was like really fun to play through. Plenty of others I could put up in there as well, but just need an order for them perhaps. Or maybe I could like put up my RoboQuest stream, since I'm gonna be playing that on Sunday. Could put up my early access quick look as like a little bit of a teaser. What was that one where you had that tank that could drive either side up? Oh, that was Grip. Ha, I remember that. Yeah, I did have to tap out of that one, but it was all right. Like when the racing all worked, it was like really fun, but it felt like there were like too many points where you could get physicsed and like finally find yourself just like getting flung off the track for what feels like almost no reason at all. And you know, after a certain point, your competitors just got super cracked, and you know, even if you did race flawlessly on easiest difficulty, you were still falling behind, which was, yeah, up to that point, that was like pretty fun, right? I did like that. The one where you could just like flip every which way and then still be driving, and the tracks were designed to accommodate that. And of course, your Red Out playthrough was top-notch. The music was icing on the cake. Ooh, that is something I should probably throw up onto the VODs channel as well, because I really enjoyed Red Out, right? Even that up to the point where it got hard. Like, I never got mad at it for being hard, because, you know, up to then, it was very, very fun, very unique. I take on anti-grav racing, and of course, the art style was, I like it when they pull off a good low poly look, and I think Red Out handled that with aplomb. That was actually like one of the games I also got the soundtrack for, because, man, some of those tracks there were like funky. They were cool. And I did pick up like Red Out 2 in a Humble Bundle. I don't know, it's like it's very, very different from Red Out 1, but I don't know. One day I would at least like take a quick look at that. Probably won't do a full playthrough like similar to Red Out, but I do want to give Red Out 2 a shake. Yeah, hard EDM and then out of nowhere they just throw in a guitar solo. Yeah, whoever composed that soundtrack, they knew what they were doing. Like, managed to capture that era of music in racing games pretty well. Dance, 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 and then suddenly guitar! Electric guitar, because people like electric guitar solos. Can't go wrong with good fusion music, yeah. I like a good mashup. Alright, we're done practice. Even the ones that end up being silly. It's like, yeah, you can see where they managed to put them together in a way that makes them fit. Like, yeah, you remember that famous meme song that, like, what, mashed together Reese's Puffs and Maroon 5's Misery? It's a wild mashup, but that's one of the reasons I like symphonic black metal, the hard metal mixed with orchestral. Yeah, like that, right? It's like two styles that seem very, very disparate, but you put them together and it just makes it work. Something about that works together. One sort of style, disparate style mixed together, I remember, is the Oshinoko theme. Mixed together like it's like part pop and part more extremely dramatic vocals. So you'll get the part where like the singer just says some really bubbly stuff, and then the next part is just like big operatic singing, and the contrast of the two comes together in a way that just makes it work. It's funny. It's like that one song that you hear like a bunch of VTubers cover when it first came out, and even till now. I think someone even wrote like English lyrics for it, and some people would sing it to that, and that's like how much that theme kind of resonated with people. Trying to think if there's like any other sorts of style fusions that would sound really good together. I think we also mentioned EDM and rock guitars. I guess there's like some dubstep tracks that kind of fit that notion, right? Because you'll get like the big sweeping dramatic pieces, and then you get to the drop where it suddenly becomes all electronic. Right? You get the wow 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 style of the music, and that's like a kind of a funny when they transition between those two parts. Bill McClintock is a good YouTuber. He takes two songs on opposite ends of the spectrum, mashes them together, and they just work. He mixed Korn with Bob Marley. Oh, that sounds like fun. Huh. Yeah, I'll check that guy out. You could say Korn are like that metal with dubstep. Ooh, is that so? No, I've heard of the name Korn, but I have to admit, I don't... maybe I've heard their music, but I definitely didn't, like, go out of my way to listen to some of their music. Later stuff is a lot of Skrillex stuff. Oh yeah, that's a name I've heard a lot in the dubstep scene. Oh yeah. Here we go, the overtake. Bands like Nightwish, the metal with the operatic singing. I think I've heard that name. I probably heard some of their tunes too, although I probably didn't realize it at first, but yeah. Yeah, that kind of style of music I do enjoy. Again, it's the contrast, right? Usually you think of operatic as like, tends to be dramatic and moving, and metal it's just like a lot more in your face tends to be. But when you put them together, it works. It just works. Or, you know, any sort of song that just includes, like, a violin part. It's like violins plus electric guitars. So I guess that, like, kind of fits with orchestra plus, you know, electric guitars, which makes for a good combo. Really is a sight to see when you get bands like Dimmu Borgir on stage with a full orchestra behind them and a choir too. Oh, I bet that's a a sight to see. Helps showcase some musicians too, I bet. But yeah, when you know everyone's gonna be having their part and you know it's all gonna come together, get to see them all do their thing. And then, yeah, imagine the size of that stage that you would need to be able to comfortably seat an orchestra, a choir, and a band all at the same time. A real mix. The orchestra is prim and proper in their tuxes and stuff, and imagine the choir probably looks majestic in their outfits. And then you got the band that looks like hardcore in theirs. A real theater production. It probably does give off that feel, don't it? It's like the kind of thing is like, okay, so what should I wear to the concert? Not that it matters, right? Since you're going to be audience anyway, who's going to be looking at you? Anything goes. Yeah, that makes sense. Again, you're the only one who probably paid the most attention to the outfit. You and whoever you're traveling with. If anyone. Won't matter when it's ripped after being in a mosh pit. Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. So I had to be willing to wear probably have to wear something a bit more ratty then. Something you don't mind getting scuffed. I guess that was always like a concern of mine when going to a concert. I just inevitably get into a part of a crowd that maybe it's too rowdy for me. I don't know. I'm like more low energy usually during these big events, so I try to like not get too involved in things. So yeah, if something like a mosh pit were to start, I'd probably be like the kind of person who would like try to be on the outside of it. Like, you know, I know that's like what people are excited for, and hey, as long as they're having a safe time with it, they can enjoy it. But for me, I probably just like enjoy the music. Maybe wave a light stick. They got him. That might be like the most action I do. It's each to their own thing. Yeah, that's true. Like, I know most concerts will probably have like a designated section where people can do the moshing if they so choose. I mean, that's why they call them a mosh pit, right? Shame you're so far back from the stage these days. Probably a safety thing. Like, maybe there's like too many incidents of unruly folk just rushing the stage. And you imagine that would seriously throw a performer off. Like, you know, you have someone running at them, they might not be able to like play music as well, or they might not be able to get their mind into it. Probably want to keep them safe. But it certainly sucks if you want to like be right up there and see them. Oh yeah, and stage diving too, right? Yeah, band members can't really do the stage dive. Although that wouldn't be just a problem for the diver, but it might also be a problem for anyone who might be in the way. It might not expect a stage dive. It's like, oh wait, no, I didn't want to do this. And of course, you have no way to get out because you got people all around you. So, yeah, it's probably to protect against that as well. Or, you know, the always scenario where no one catches the person doing the stage dive and it's like, oh, yeah, that's that's gonna hurt. Or, you know, the people catching them might not be able to catch the diver that well, and or other stuff, and yeah, so many ways that could go wrong. Where it's like, you know, might be fun to see in like a movie or something, but yeah, wake up in A and E. I don't know. If I want to go to a concert, I want to like make sure I don't have something catastrophic happen there. Like, yeah. Oh, and I guess if you know, someone's performance is all about the pyrotechnics too. If you got like sparks and flames and what have you, probably want people a good distance away. It just makes sense, right? I admit, haven't been keeping track how many how many events we are into this series. Judging from the time, I probably assume we're like event 4 or 5, maybe 3. I remember seeing Ramenstein, and the heat you get from the flamethrowers was super intense. Oh boy, yeah. It's like, yeah, the kind of thing where you probably want people away. The kind of thing that you would want to test, make sure the band is also safe. And, you know, the setup you have is also safe too. Oh, wow. Hey, this is 5 of 5. Okay. Ooh, Belgium. Flames from the bottom and top of the stage. Yeah. When you got that level of pyrotechnics, you probably don't want people close to it. For a multitude of reasons. Most of all being, of course, the people's safety. Plus fireworks, yeah. As you know, you got someone rushing the stage when that stuff goes off, and it's like, yeah, it's gonna be an article on the news. Maybe it'll even get onto the Darwin's sports site, maybe. And you know, you probably want a good distance, so if you do have someone there who's just like a real good runner or something, you have enough time for security to try to intercept them some way or another. But I guess even with all that in mind, just you know, being there in person and listening to the band perform their music live, it's got to be an awesome feeling, though. You know, being surrounded by folks who are also into the thing you're into. I think that's why like cons are also like a big hit, right? You just around a bunch of people who share the same interests you do. You get to like talk the similar topics to them and mark out over the same things that they do. You know, being able to see all the products that you might not be able to see otherwise. Yeah, summer festivals, I bet, are fun too for that. Just being in that sort of community for a few days, it's like real good feeling. It's like that moment of time where you get to leave the real world just to be part of this awesome other world where you get to be with like-minded folk. Yeah, like-minded folk. You can just chill and chat, maybe make some friends too. Yeah, there is that, right? Get some contacts. Total escapism, indeed. That is the term I would go with that. Just yeah, get to be in your element for a small period of time. That's got to be a very pleasant feeling. Yeah. Right? You got like a daily routine, you got work, breaks that routine, breaks the monotony. Gives you something to look forward to. I'd say it's like why it makes those sorts of events extra special, right? Because it's like the rest of your days are more mundane. Might not be as exciting, but it helps make the stuff where, you know, you are doing something different all that more exciting. Always nervous the day before a con, travel day. Yeah, back when I would travel yearly to various cons and stuff, I do remember having to ride up there. And there were definitely those days where the weather was like maybe more harrowing, so you know, we would be wondering if we would be able to get there safely, or if we would have to maybe change up our plans some way or another. I think, thankfully, we didn't have to do that, but it was definitely interesting. I think there was that one time we like actually drove through a snowstorm during on our way to a con. That one was pretty wild. And we actually made it, right? We made it to the con safe and sound, too. It was fun. But obviously very cold. That's dedication right there. Indeed it was. I think it was like our first time to that con, too, so we didn't want to miss it for anything. I guess the logical thing to do would have been to, like, either wait a day or stay home, but we didn't do that. And I guess we lucked out there. Thankfully we did too, because the con was like pretty rad. At least you made memories and a story to remember. Oh boy, yeah. We actually do bring that up every now and then. We'll talk about that year we drove to the con in the snowstorm. And we lucked out there. I mean, it wasn't like extremely treacherous. It was a lot of snow, but you know, it's not to the point where, you know, the car had a chance of like breaking down or anything like that. You know, I imagine things would be different if we were like driving an old junker or something, but the car we were driving was like pretty decent, all things considered. Yeah, that sure was a time. We had the heater running on full blast like most of the time, and you know, we tried to not get out of the car as much because, well, we didn't want the car heater off. I think I actually remember too. Originally, like the friends I was driving with, they didn't realize like how the car's like dashboard heater worked. Originally, what they would do is like stop, like every now and then to like get the snow off the windshield until one of our other friends like told them, "Hey, you know, you could like turn on like a heater, a dashboard heater that would like melt the snow on the dashboard or on the windshield for you, right?" And then they did that, and then the rest of our trip was like way smoother. Oh boy. Yeah, that was one of the specific memories from that. Oh, that's practice. Stop start with an ice scraper. Yeah, that's like a common thing in winter months around here. You like go outside, you see your car is iced over. All right, time to whip out the scraper and get all that ice off the windshield, maybe off the side view mirrors as well. Oh, and on the rear windshield as well, because you need that visibility. It would also be like the windshield that had like elements running on it, so you could like activate the heater and get that melted too. Right, you like start up the car, get the heater going, get the dashboard heater going, so you could like melt the ice in the other way too. I remember I would boil a kettle to get rid of it. Whoa! That's interesting. I'm guessing thermal shock wouldn't have affected it too much, right? Boy, I can't imagine like boiling an entire kettle and then carrying it out to pour it on the windshield to melt the ice. Like, I imagine it'll be like effective and probably pretty cool looking, but boy, that must have taken some time and effort. Yeah, well, it would be the kind of thing where, like, similar to ice scraping, you would have to get up early, because you know you would have to prep the car for cold weather and get it ready to get it into a drivable state. When we had that bad snow that lasted 3 months, oh, jeez. Oh, whew. I think around our area, we did have, like, big blizzards. Like, people would actually refer to it, even to this day. People would remember those times when we had the blizzard that just, like, snowed everyone in. And, you know, people couldn't do anything for several days. And this was, like, pre-internet, too, so the most you could do is, like, maybe watch TV or play board games or read a book. Or just, like, you know, run around your house. Because it kept freezing overnight. It didn't melt. Everyone walking like penguins on a frozen pond. Oh, yeah. When everything's iced over, you go take very gentle steps. You don't take big steps, because that makes you more likely to slip. Which is actually funny, because I remember as a kid being, like, way more confident in my ice walking abilities. I remember there being, like, when I was in elementary school, there would be, like, a particular area of the field where if it snowed, it would be just, like, a sheet of solid ice, and I'll actually, like, walk on that, and I walk on that no problem. Like, I don't know why I did it. I think I was just, like, haughty and overconfident at that point. I just remember seeing other kids trying to do that, too. And there would usually be, like, a group of 3 or 4, and they would be huddling together trying to maintain their balance. And they'd like, asking me, how'd you do that? How'd you just, like, walk on the ice? I'd go, I just do. I mean, I wouldn't do that anymore, right? Now that I'm, like, an adult, I wouldn't just, like, confidently walk on ice because, well, the riskage of slipping and, you know, breaking something when I fall over, it's too big. It's too great for me. I wouldn't do that anymore. I would either, you know, go out of my way to avoid the ice if I could, or just, like, step very carefully. But even then, I wouldn't do that. Like, when I was, like, living in another place and I had to walk to work, there would be times where, you know, it would snow, the sidewalks would ice over, and if that happened, right, if the sidewalks were too icy, I would just, like, you know, tell my team, yeah, I'm gonna, like, work from home today because I don't feel confident about walking to to work in this current state of weather, they'd usually be like cool with it. Because most of them would usually do the same thing. They would have to walk to work, so they would usually get it if weather's too much. And I was actually like a little further out too. I would be like in like an adjoining area where I would have to like take a train and actually walk for a bit. So, you know, if I have to like take a really long time to walk to work, maybe it's just better if I work from home. You got them skills, yeah. I used to. Probably had a lot more confidence then too. I would also be like one of those types if there was like a raised curb on the sidewalk, I would like jump on that and walk on that for a bit. Like if it was wide enough, right? If it was like tightrope thinness, I probably wouldn't try it. But if it was like something I could like comfortably put one foot on, I would do that for a bit. I think I have like a better sense of balance than most people do. Man, our laps on this track really like 3 minutes. Holy cow. And they're making us do 4 of these? I feel like this will be like a 3 or 2 lap track in another event. And we got rain that's just like progressively getting rainier as time goes on. Look at that, you even got like the rain on the camera effect. That's how you know how this is really rainy. More sense than I had, I face planted. Wasn't dress shoes at the time on my way back to work. With a coffee, I felt like such an idiot. I was more pissed at spilling my coffee. Oh boy. Man, yeah, it sucks that it happened. Especially when you're thinking about how much you're going to enjoy that drink when you get back. But that's not going to happen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've all had our instances where we had a food item, right? We bought the food, and we're like, oh yeah, this food's going to be like the best ever. I'm going to really enjoy it once I find a place to sit down and enjoy it. And then you ended up spilling it or losing it somehow. And you're like, well, guess not. Especially since you paid for it, right? That's probably like part of it too. It's like you paid money for this thing that's now not going to see any use. Yeah, except for falling in and wearing it. Eventually you're going to have to clean it out, so that'll cost you in other ways too. You have to pay for cleaning supplies or dry cleaning or something like that. Yeah, there's like one time where I went to a supermarket that I usually don't go to. I bought like some packs of cookies, and I stuck them in my bag. I was like, oh yeah, when I get home, I'm gonna like maybe have some of those, few of those cookies and munch on them. And then when I got home, I went through my bag and I was like, wait, why is there only 1 pack of cookies? I bought 2 of them. I was like, oh no, one of them must have dropped out of the bag while I was making my way home. I'm like, dang it. I was supposed to enjoy them. There were like 2 different flavors of cookies too, so I only had like the 1 pack, the 1 flavor. I was like, oh man. Still good cookies, but I wish I could have enjoyed the other one as well. Yeah, I was like, damn it, I paid $3.95 for that coffee. And yeah, oh no. Yeah, poor shame I never got to enjoy those cookies. Ah well. I have enjoyed plenty of other cookies in my lifetime, so it's just another blip in the road of life. I guess you could take it as like a lesson learned thing, right? Make sure you have your items secure when you're traveling places, right? I think that was like back before I started regularly carrying cloth bags to like carry all my stuff. Once I started doing that, the likelihood of me just dropping things decreased by a lot, thankfully. I tend to wear more food and drinks than anything these days. Oh dear. Yeah. And I certainly feel for those folks who have, who are just like more clumsy, right? Because it's like, it's the kind of thing. It's like, yeah, sometimes they can't help it, right? Maybe they just have their sense of balance is just off for one reason or another. Ah, gravy. Yeah. That would be like one of the things you spill and get on your person, your clothes. Incidentally, Thanksgiving is coming up in the US soon, so I'll be enjoying some gravy. I should probably do like a supermarket run this weekend and grab stuff for the holiday. Turkey Day, yeah. I like to call it that too, because that's what I usually eat. Turkey. For me, it's like usually turkey, stuffing, potatoes, mashed potatoes. Probably like mixed vegetables. I have to see if I can get like a pumpkin pie as well. All the trimmings, indeed. Gotta get the seasoning, a full course meal. Ooh, hopefully I can get some cornbread as well. I started to eat. So it's kind of like what I associate it with now. Yeah, one of those days where you prepare enough food for a small army. Right, yeah, if you're like the one hosting a gathering, you know it's gonna have a lot of people over, so you're like preparing tons of portions, more than you would normally do. You got like multiple dishes going off at the same time. And you know once you finish one, you gotta start on another. Make sure it's all prepped, all warmed up or cold. Make sure you got like everything considered as well, so you know if someone's got like a dietary restriction, you gotta take that into account as well. All that good stuff. Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. I was like actually reading on Twitter. Apparently, Baskin Robbins is having like a Thanksgiving themed ice cream. Actually, doesn't sound too bad based on what they like put in it. So the flavors they're going for are like cornbread, cranberry sauce, and like sweet potatoes. Which, when you think about it, yeah, that's like all dessert material right there. At the very least, you can plausibly see it in the dessert, right? And when you put it all together, yeah, sure, it's like the closest thing you'll get to like a sweet Thanksgiving dessert of sorts, if you're to mix it all together on your plate. I tried a cranberry. I'd said the same thing. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's like something I would try once. Like the combination of things they put together seems like it would be decent. Okay, now I have to ask, what sorts of cranberry sauce do you prefer? Because in the U.S. at least, we do have like, it's like become meme-tically popular, where you have like the jellied cranberry sauce in a can. You know, it'd be like all can-shaped and stuff, but the cranberry sauce I prefer is like the fresh ones where you like crush the cranberries and, you know, just have it like right there and then. That's like the one I've come to prefer, right? I know people have like an emotional attachment to like the gelatin cranberry sauce, but yeah, I prefer like the fresh stuff. Extremely rare to get it here, plus we don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Oh yeah. I get it. That is true. So yeah, I guess cranberry sauce wouldn't be as much of a thing there. At the very least, if you have cranberry sauce, it's probably like the fresh stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I know Thanksgiving is a purely U.S. holiday. Or at least Thanksgiving in November, because I know Canadian Thanksgiving is October, and you know, if other countries celebrate Thanksgiving, they have their own dates for it as well. When I lived in the U.S., the fresh is always the best. Yeah, always got to get the local ingredients. Yeah, when I go to a supermarket, I always try to get like fresh fruits and veggies, and so I can prep some salads or just just enjoy it. Just enjoy it like fresh and as fresh as it can get. Well, there we have it. Another 2 series out of the way. Next up is JDM Legends, so we'll be going to Japan, and then the Enthusiast Showcase. And let's see, the Features tab. Oh! Huh. So they're just introducing new tours here. Okay. I just assumed they would, like, rotate out or something. Or maybe they do rotate out, but they're just, like, giving people time to maybe get through it. Yeah. Yeah, as you can see, I'm going through the featured tours on my own time, but the thing with these tours is that the cars that are featured here are like super expensive. Like the cheapest one is like maybe shy of 300,000 credits. So you gotta like do a lot of races if you want to buy in to one of these events. And I imagine this Prestige tour is probably like no different. I mean, looking already at these cars here, I can like just see that. Yeah, I'll have to go through a lot if I want to get all the way to the end here to this Prestige showcase and like get the car at the end. But yeah, that is something I will handle in my own time. We are almost halfway through this Builders Cup. We're almost done with this Enthusiast Tour, and I guess can start on the Power Tour next week. We'll be checking out, after JDM, it will be iconic muscle cars. Yeah, you can like see it all here. Get like a couple of those classic looking cars, and you go to here, the C8 Challenge. Yeah. Oh boy. Hey, we're making good progress though. If we do like 2 events every week, we'll have this wrapped up. I'll have this wrapped up eventually. All right. It just takes some time. We're in the middle of the ride, but everything will be just fine. Everything will be all right. All right. All right. I think in that case, I will call it here. Yeah. Again, good progress. We got 2 events done. So, yeah. what else to say except maybe, yeah, thanks to everyone who came by and watched, who came in, chatted, stuck around. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll be back on Friday. We'll continue Sea of Stars. we're headed to another climax here. I think I was actually like looking ahead a little bit on the guide. I think I got about 2.5 more dungeons, so I feel like we'll have that game wrapped up pretty soon. But for now, have a good night. Yeah, you have a good night too. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, we'll see who else is online now. Who can I send everyone off to? Oh my god, wait, is someone playing Monopoly? They don't seem to be in the collab either? Weird. Who else we got on here? Oh wow, someone's playing Maneater. It's always a classic. Maybe I'll go through that on stream. I've already played through it like on a Game Pass. It's pretty fun there. Maybe if Shark Week rolls around, I'll do like Maneater. my god, I see someone playing Croc. Oh, it's a game I haven't thought about in a hot minute. Alright, I think I'll check my other list and see if there's anyone there. Sometimes it's nice to mix things up, right? Sometimes you just don't want to always raid a subset of people, because hey, there's a whole wide range of streamers out there on Twitch, and well, it's good to see who else is out there. Ooh, one game I have been seeing a lot of people play is Cuisinier. I remember playing that during one of the Steam Next Fests, and I enjoyed the fusion of dungeon crawler and restaurant management, and I can see why that would catch on to a set of folks, because I mean it's a lot of food too, and you know, food's like universal language. People enjoy that, right? Talk about food, you can talk about the ingredients that go into it, and you'll be like, oh yeah, that sounds delicious. Alright, you know what? I think I've found someone. Don't know if I've rated them yet, but I think maybe they could use a bit of encouragement. Oh yeah. Again, I forgot to stop raids. Okay. I feel like that's a thing I really should get accustomed to doing. I feel like that's like one of the reasons why they put that in, so that if you are about to end stream, you can just like do that and make sure someone else doesn't accidentally raid into you and kind of waste their raid, you know, as it were. All right, let's see if this one goes through. Hey, looks like it worked. Okay. Miyaki Hozo is playing through Jump King. Apparently, it's going to be like an endurance stream, and they're going to keep playing it until they beat it. They're 4 hours in, so they've been at it for a while. But you know, we can perhaps maybe cheer them on for a bit. Let's see. What should we say? What should our raid message be? Well, since I guess it's the title, maybe we'll go with let's go with this. Mazda raid. Yeah, if you're joining on the raid, hit them with a Mazda raid. And if not, have a good rest of your week. I'll see you on Friday for Sea of Stars. Have a good one.